from the edge of Godzilla at Ironman Raceway in Crawfordsville, Indiana, this is GNCC Live. Hello, everyone. I'm Rodney Tom, along with Mikey Waynes, and, of course, Johnny Gallagher going to be joining us here in just a little bit. But honestly, Mikey, as the stage is set on this one, the 25th running of this Amsoil Ironman GNCC, it's going to be a barn burner. We've got the championship wrapped up. Both Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall are out of this as far as the bike side of things are concerned. And we've got a new XC1 Pro Class racer who got his first win last time in Ben Kelly after stepping up from the XC2 only a couple of races ago. I mean, this one could be a very historic value as far as Ironman GNCCs are concerned.
You're exactly right. Ben Kelly obviously going to be looking to go back-to-back, but Stu Baylor, who won Ironman here last year, you know he wants to put an exclamation point on this season, end it on a high note, and head into 2020 and put this year behind him.
Especially with the big changes that we've got in store for Stu Baylor for 2020. I'll tell you, he opened up the season with a win. Why not close out the season with a win? Be very interesting to see whether or not he's able to pull that off.
You're exactly right. And with Ben Kelly moving up these last couple of rounds to the XC1, that XC2 class, like on the ATV side of things yesterday, is wide open. There are a lot of hungry riders coming out of that XC2.
And it gives a lot of opportunities for some of these riders to showcase themselves a little more in that spotlight than what they've had the opportunity with Ben being out there totally dominating the field so far this season. So I think XC2 is pretty exciting, and the FMF XC3 class. I mean, even though that's wrapped up, there's also still a lot of life in that one, as I think we'll see some other riders stepping up here late in the season also.
You're exactly right. Jesse Ansley wrapping up the FMF XC3 championship, and from what I understand, moving up into the XC2 going into next season. So the stage is set here. Let's take it down to Johnny Gallagher down at the Pro Pits to see what the vibe is down there.
All right, thanks, guys. Johnny Gallagher here. I'll be coming in from the pits all day. The action's going to be fast and furious, and we're going to keep you guys informed on all of it all day today. Stay tuned to RacerTV.
Thanks, Johnny, and I'll tell you, man, nobody puts a better perspective on the racing, I think, than what Johnny Gallagher can. He's been around for a long time in a lot of different aspects, so obviously Johnny knows what he's talking about. And with that, he also knows what this track is like. Racing it yesterday, seeing what the conditions were like, and you know today it's going to be equally demanding, maybe even a little more demanding. Like I said, a near 13-mile race course that incorporates the famous Ironman motocross track, obviously Ironman Hill, Twin Peaks. There's a lot of obstacles in this racetrack.
It's going to be a wild one, but let's hear it from Jared Bolton, who will go down to him for a track description.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to the Ironman. You know, if you ever took a poll of all the racers who raced the entire GNCC series, I guarantee you that the majority of them would tell you that this is their favorite race. And that's exactly for a good reason. There's a little bit of something for everyone out here, and I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, great, here he goes again. He says this every race. But that is absolutely true about the Ironman. There's fast trail, there's tight trail, there's technical trail, there's fast sections, slow sections, cornfields, motocross, great dirt. And the running joke around here is if you ever want to build an epic backyard track, the dirt you want for it will come from right here at the Ironman. This is a phenomenal facility, a beautiful race course. Absolutely produces some of the best racing all season. Everybody wants a chance to go out and end the season on the highest note possible. This could be the most epic race of the entire season. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jared. I know you guys had your hands full this year with weather conditions the way they are. You never know what it's going to be like coming into the Ironman GNCC. So, well, we know what the track is like. We know what the field is starting to look like. But the one thing that we don't know about, Mikey, is the fact of what is going through Ben Kelly's head right now. After that big win, last race of the season, what's he thinking heading into this one?
Unreal, honestly. This win definitely means the most out of any win I've ever had my whole career. I'm just stoked.
Solid stuff right there, and I'll tell you, Ben Kelly is certainly going to be one to watch in the future. I think that I'm not the only one that's ringing that bell right now. Obviously, with what we saw him do in the XC2 class and what we've already seen him do in the XC1 class, I think we've got some new things on the horizon.
You do. The future's bright for GNCC. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be back-to-back Ben Kelly, Stu Baylor? We don't know. We're going to go take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be at the starting line with this guy, Rodney Tomlin, and that iconic 10-second call.
Consistent clutch feel is vital to effective starts or to confidently maneuver around obstacles on the trail. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil was subjected to an extreme simulated start test. After 32 simulated race starts, AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil continued to deliver consistent clutch feel, and the clutch plates remain clean with no visible wear. The competitor's oil, however, allowed discoloration and significant wear after just 16 starts. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Give your bike the protection it needs.
The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X2. With a compact chassis perfect for exploring tight technical terrain. An ultra-quiet and smooth 850 class twin-cylinder engine. And next-level versatility with a 600-pound dumping cargo bed. No other side-by-side delivers this level of proven off-road performance. The all-new Wolverine X2 from Yamaha.
aboard the 133, making his return to the GNCC Racing Nation. There we go.
GNCC Racing Families, we present a travel check to each rider that will be competing for their respective countries. And I think all of these guys will be riding for the United States. So I know Caleb is not racing here today. He's at mud hole. Yeah. Josh Toth. Josh Toth, we have a $500 check for you to represent the United States and your GNC Racing family. Grant Baylor. Grant, if you will come forward. Again, we all celebrate your athleticism. Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly is the last rider. If you'll come up, Ben, we have $500 for Ben Kelly. Stu Baylor. He doesn't like our trophies. So we'll give him Caleb Russell's $500. So folks, along with Caleb Russell, these four athletes will be representing not only the United States, but will represent GNCC in the International Days Enduro. All right, if you guys can turn around and let, hey, turn around for the camera here. Here we go. Come on, GNCC racers, put your hand. Let's celebrate these guys as they go represent the United States. Each year here at Ironman, this is the pink race. There is not a person on this starting line that hasn't been adversely affected by cancer. There's not a person on this facility this week that has not been adversely affected by cancer. And it's because of the goodwill and the generosity of GNCC Racing families that we were able to raise some money this weekend. The Zakowski family, part of our ATV family, raised $1,500 that will go to cancer research and folks that are in need. In addition, there was another $5,000 raised here today that will stay right here in this community. Cheryl from the Montgomery County Community Foundation for their clinic. Cheryl, we would like to present you with this $5,000 check from all of our GNCC racing families. This weekend, nearly 2,000 racers suited up to race here in Montgomery County, and through them, their friends, their families, and their spectators, we present you with $5,000. Cheryl, thank you so much.
We're very grateful to everyone who had a part in raising this money, and it will benefit many locally who are suffering from cancer. Thank you so much.
Let's get ready to go racing.
Great.
You know what they say here at GNCC? You have to give us your best. You have to yell 10 seconds. Can you do that? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Ah! No, you don't yell for 10 seconds. You yell 10 seconds. We're all ready to go. Let's turn around and get a picture here with Kenny Hill. Ironman, we are now ready for GNCC racing.
All right, folks, looks like we're about 2 minutes out now as the machine's firing up, and the start sequence now getting underway as opening ceremonies are fading here at Ironman Raceway. And wow, $5,000 to the Montgomery County Free Clinic. Such an honor and a privilege to be able to be in this community and to be able to help out locally as we do and have for so many years. And of course, it's such an honor to be a part of this Crawfordsville community. When they literally call the town Motoville every time we come to town. And of course, with that, all of our attention's now starting to turn to Ricky Towery up there in turn number 1 as he is taking his spot at the podium.
Hey guys, I need this area moved, please. Tom, get those guys out of the way. I can't see.
All righty, guys, getting ready to roll. And Ricky Towery once again makes his way behind that first turn barrier where we can't see him, but the next time we see him, we know that the starts will begin to be orchestrated. Of course, I can't see him, and actually he's not behind that. He's standing out there ready to go. We're waiting on the all systems go, I guess. So right now, folks, as we look up into that first turn, I believe Ricky is actually telling us, no, we're not ready to go. We don't have an all systems go, correct? So there's a couple of little things that we've got to make sure that are ready to go. I believe, number one, we want to ensure that our course is cleared of all riders and machines, of course, and ready for the next race to come. And also scoring and timing must be ready to go, and all other safety factors with EMTs, road crossing guards and things of that nature. It's a big operation as we get things worked together. And once again, Mr. Tim Cotter.
Hey, Rodney, in addition to the $500 travel money given to each rider, GNCC will be presenting a check at $15,000 that will go to the ISDE Race Fund to help the entire team. So an additional $15,000 will go to that. So GNCC absolutely supports the ISDE team. We wish them well. We'll all be watching online how it goes.
And again, as we get set to go, beautiful sunshiny day today. If you're just tuning in to RacerTV.com, as well, they get set to wrap up the 2019 season. If you didn't see what happened yesterday from some of the aerial shots from our live Yamaha drone you see above the start here today, and some of our other shots from around the facility, you can see that we took on a lot of water over the course of the last 24 hours or so. And yesterday's ATV race was certainly a wet race, to say the least, raining nearly the entire day and through the entire race. And of course, clearing up there yesterday afternoon, we had a great concert last night with Craig Morgan, which had to be bumped up because of wind and things of that nature, which blew in last night, which also, it may have been a hamperance as far as some things, but on the flip side of things, that wind really helped things out here in these open fields and helped dry some of these soils out, which is making for some better traction. We had some 200 youth riders this morning at 8 o'clock and nearly 700 riders here around 10 o'clock this morning. So lots of laps have been turned on this racetrack, and it has dried out quite a bit, but at the same time, it still offers its challenges, as any course of this nature does after taking on the amount of moisture that it has taken on. And one thing to point out, it was needed in this area of Indiana. I know talking to a lot of folks, they said it's been a while since there had been any rain, so the rain wasn't necessarily a bad thing for the region. It just certainly has made for our GNCC racing weekend to be, I call it, a little more memorable as we work our way through this final round of 2019. And again, folks, I just want to say thanks to everyone that has made their way out and stuck it out here in this weekend of well, I tell you what, crazy weather. We started out on Friday, it was beautiful, sunshiny, and short weather and all that good stuff. And then, of course, Saturday morning started the rain showers. And then today we open up our eyes to beautiful blue skies once again. And talk about a wonderful blessing. We have certainly been blessed, no doubt about that, to reach this point and to have these kinds of opportunities that we have here at Ironman GNCC. A couple of things to remind you of if you have not checked out the schedule yet. We do have posted online information concerning the 2019 awards banquet for GNCC Racing. It is coming up in early December. You'll want to, in Morgantown, West Virginia, and you'll want to make sure that you get your rooms booked early, and of course get your reservations, your RSVP sent in as early as possible, and make sure if you want certain tables and groups of tables that you get that all taken care of. And we'll celebrate the Night of Champions coming up here in a month or so, a little over a month, as we'll be moving into the holiday season. And also, folks, as we roll through this final weekend of racing, I do once again take this opportunity to salute Team Faith's Chuck LeMaster, who brings church to the racetrack, and just an opportunity to let folks at home know, if you'd like to hear what some of the chapel services are like, you can go on to iTunes and search Team Faith and SoundCloud. You can do the same thing in Chuck LeMaster, and you'll be able to find all the sermons from right here at GNCC Racing. And the beauty of it is we're blessed once again as it is time to go. We get the fire 'em up sign from Ricky Towery out there as he lets us know that, well, we'll be a couple minutes out now before we'll be ready to go. GNCC Racing here in the soils of Indiana, celebrating our 25th excursion here. It all began on October 27th, a Saturday in 1995. Steve Holbert won the first ever ATV race, and Scott Plessinger on a Sunday, the 28th of October, took the win in the two-wheel side of things. So that's a little history note and lesson for you for this day. We had some trivia contest earlier today, and finally someone was able to point that out. And of course, looking down at that first turn region now, Ricky Towery is about to ready these riders for the start. And as I always like to say, ready to orchestrate the starts here. Our maestro steps to the podium now, and he gets set to tap. He'll give us our indication of where we are in our start sequence, and he will let us know that we are now only 1 minute away from going GNCC Racing here in the heartland of America, the Hoosier State. And of course here in beautiful Montgomery County, Indiana. And as Ricky finds his way back to that first turn region, this is when the hearts begin to pound and the eyes widen as the final few moments before that green flag flies and the final race of 2019 gets underway. As the blue flag comes out, that indicates shut them down, guys, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. And we are now less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC Racing. And I gotta ask you, Indiana, the diehards out here in the mud on a Sunday afternoon. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? I feel pretty pumped up from that, but I got to tell you, like I said, this is the diehard of off-road racing world. You are the fans that make it all happen, so I'm going to ask you one more time. Let's light this place up. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at our Amsoil Ironman GNCC. And they're off into that first turn now. Who's going to grab the early lead in this one? $250 going to the 127 of Jordan Ashburn. And was that Andrew Delong there on the inside? Maybe even. So Jordan Ashburn getting the Holeshot XC1, XC2 250 Pro class. We got Craig Delong, Jesse Grom, also Heath Harrison, Ryder Lafferty, Austin Lee, Liam Draper, Dylan Earberry, Michael Witkowski, Ben Parsons, Alex Teagard, and also Jesse Ansley, Evan Smith, Forrest Player, Benjamin Nelko. 10 seconds. Tanner Myers, James Scott, Samuel Evans, Seth Reardon, and Jonathan Johnson. $100 up for grabs in our Holeshot Award in this one, folks. For this XC250 Pro class, thanks to Wiseco and All Balls Racing, and it is the number 10 of Craig DeLong from Morgantown, Pennsylvania, on a Coastal Racing Husqvarna with those Maxxis tires. FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. A lot of riders moving up in this one. Joe Marsh, Mike Delosa, Benjamin Wright, Chase Colville, Preston Wheeler, Nick Hurt, Nathaniel Ferderer, also Logan Kiddick, Jason Lipscomb, Jake Froman, and Dylan Zimpel ready to roll in 10 seconds. And we're off with the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. And out of that first turn, they jockey for position. It is the 418 Nicholas Hunt from Fort Wayne, Indiana, the KCK Racing House of Yamaha backs ride. 258 class coming up next. We got Simon Johnson, Ryder LeBlanc, Tanner Cowart, Ryler Generode, Nathaniel Tasha, Brody Johnson, Matthew Davis, Jeremy Hamilton. 10 seconds. Brendan Poling, John Gentry, Trevor Getz, also Thomas Wisner, Alex Tweeton, Dalton Riddle, Joseph Vogel, Joseph Broughton, also Tyler Braniff, Jonathan Peace, and Joe Cunningham, Nathan Preby, Jamie French, Josh Farrell, Benjamin Ward, Max Fernandez. And it's the 29 of Simon Johnson out of Bennington, Vermont on a Trail Jesters KTM grabbing the early lead. Also Cole Whitmer, Andrew Gross, and Christian Telker in his 258 class. As we go to the Open A class next, we got riders like Levi Keller, Joshua Lee, Evan Earl, Will Seidenpiper, Andrew DePalo, Brady Myers, Rylan Frankfurt, Riley Johnson, Chad Hartzick, Taylor Myers, Mario Tokches. 10 seconds. Jared Polly, Zachary Hugel, Kobe Beckert, also Cole Kirkhoff, Colton Wilkes, Clint Hupp, and Jaron Williams. Open A rounding the first turn now. And the 210 of Joshua Lee from Statesboro, Georgia, on a Kawasaki of Statesboro, backed by Answer Racing, grabbing the early lead. We go to the 200A class next. We got riders like Zachary Davidson, Braden Nolette, Connor Coughlin, Hunter Smith, Tanner Collins, Dominic Morris, and Noah Clark in this 200A class in 10 seconds. And around the first turn we go. It's the 404. Tanner Collins. Oh, no, 199. That is Zach Davidson of Iron Station, North Carolina, still in the early lead on the Husqvarna USA Dunlop flag. Chad Davis Racing backed Husky. Four-stroke A-lines coming up next in 10 seconds. Nick O'Brien, Travis Renaud, Alex Patterson, Russell Smith, Alex Luger, Johnny Manera, Samuel Hinkle, Adam Parker, Justin Lafferty, Nathan Rector, Ian Flynn, Cody Meeks, Joshua Guppy, Lance Machino, Grady Faint, Nathan Davis, Justin Leonard, Devin Jurek, Mitchell Owenby, and Dylan Carano. Rounding the first turn, it is going to be the 130. Travis Renaud out of Stratford, Missouri on our Yarborough Industries Marionville Power Sports Fly Racing KTM. And he's going to hang on to it as they go through that open field section. We go to the Vet A 30-plus class coming up next. 10 seconds. Sam Forrester, Jared Hoffman, Louis Oleon, Mikhail Gomez, Joshua Wyatt, Surly Amancio, Lorenzo Sanchez, Tyler Martin, Matt Harrington, Charles Grantham, Corey Day, Tyler Mullins, Nathan Allering, Matt Modick, Bill Zavindi, and Sean Craver. And at the stripe, it's the 48 of Sam Forrester from Elkton, Maryland on a Cherry Hill Cycle KTM, grabbing the early lead. Senior A 40-plus class, Smiling Frank Messina, Shotgun Sean Remington, John Beaver, J.D. Walker, Jeff Husted, also Ralph B. Thorne, Eric Terrell, Curtis Ryan, Kyle Ulby, and Jason Stickley in 10 seconds. Around the first turn, here we go. Into turn 2, it's going to be a Yamaha number 658. That's Curtis Ryan from Fairdale, Kentucky, taking the early lead in the Senior A 40-plus class. The Junior AB 25-plus class next. Andrew Boggs, Matt Bruffy, Landon Smith, Brady Stefanik. 10 seconds. Dylan Narrell, Joseph McCarty, Ricky Terry, Grant Marriott, Tom Wagner, Eddie Kowalski, Ben Kowalski, George Kowalski, Dayton Webb, Jesse Kildo, Logan Papul, and Cole Robbins. So you got Eddie Ben and George Kowalski all racing out there together today. Must be brothers and cousins, or brothers anyway. Oh, and it's going to be the Dylan Narell from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, and the Rally Racing Larson Cycle Black Diamond MX backs riding that Junior AB class. Moving next to the 250B class. 10 seconds. Garrick Orbester, Austin Hobatter, Philip Dagnes, Dylan Pelletier, Cody Petto, Austin Kimsey, Dylan Lawson, Nathan Courtney, Gerald Nicholas, Clay Fawkes, Kenton Coleman, Ezra Prine, Ray Tite, Dylan Gore, Dawson Webb, Bradley Chapman, Alec Kesling, Cameron Madison, and Jesse Groves. And it is the 240, or actually it might have been 249, Philip Dagnes on a Husqvarna out of Quebec, Canada. He's backed by Nadon Sports of St. Ocean, Husqvarna of Canada, as well as Factory Connection Suspension. Up next, 200B class. 10 seconds. Max Rust, Miles Gefkin, Trent Gaither, Dawson Zimmer, Ezra Judd, Lake Plowman, Lucas Grounds, Caleb Baltimore, Blake Kohler, Blaiston Moore, Ryan Heimick, and Sydney Tatera. 200B. And it's 450. Blake Kohler out of Philo, Ohio on a JDPMX.com Shriver's Pharmacy backed ride. Grabbing the early lead in the 200B class. We go to the Vet B 30-plus class. Coming up next, it's got 19 riders in 10 seconds. Joshua Carey, Kyle Johnson, William O'Brien, Nick Plank, Matthew Adams, Derek Roberts, Joseph Bibler, Aaron Preby, Eric Lefford, Drake Fairfield, Brandon Thompson, Benjamin Cole, Brandon Cook, Clay Smith, Ernie Martin, Joshua Webb, Nate Cronk, Charlie Torresani, and Sam Pink. .462, Drake Fairfield from Danvers, Illinois on a Brewhouse Fairfield Lawn and Landscapes and Jones Tree Surgery backed Husqvarna.
Open B coming up next. 10 seconds. Matt Sorge, Peyton Harden, Trenton Madison, Jimmy Winterbottom, Matthew Allender, Michael Ziegler, Israel Arnold, Jared Miranda, also Dylan Runners, Gregory Tenney, Noah Smet, Mark Cimprini, Garrett Grantham, Stephen Peters, Nick McCabe, Shea Dickinson, Luke.
Yeah, you know, coming off 2 years on the 120.
Matthew Harris, Dwight Douglas, Chandler Hale, Zach Peter, Colton Hawk, Brian Shell, Damian Madison, and Jared Messer. Fist pump in the air for Peyton Harden, the 222 from Stamping Ground, Kentucky, on a Trigger Concepts Fly Racing FMF back ride. He grabs the early lead in that class. Seconds. Senior B 40-plus class with Gene Swidwood, Leon Whitaver, Frank DeFeo, Steve Kapler, Timon McDaniel, Dean Herman, Brent Belsel, Jason Coldwater, Jared Hines, also Mike Horwath, Adam Miller, Dana Miller, Ryan Frost, Aaron Darmo, Scott Matheny, and Igor Sarraz. Rounding that first turn, and into turn number 2, it's the drag race. Who's it gonna be? 439. 438 actually. Brent Belsel from Medina, Ohio in the Senior B 40-plus class. And the 4-stroke B lights coming up next. We got TJ Fine, Reed Day, Bryce Alkire, Corey Mahalik, John McGee, Tyler Daniels. 10 seconds. Hunter Cleveland, Austin Williams, Dylan Schmidt, and Alan Anderson. And 4-stroke B lights class is off and rolling. Got Yamaha out front, diving in hard. 408 is Hunter Cleveland from Erin, New York, on a Lanes Yamaha, bike by FCR, suspension and Fly Racing. And a quick scan of the race start. Looks like all of our bikes are started and off and rolling, and we are off and rolling into this day. Just a little under 300 riders out on this racetrack here this afternoon. And of course, all eyes on what's going to take place up front. Can Ben Kelly get another win? Will Jordan Ashburn pull one out finally on the Kawasaki? Or will someone else stick their nose into the mix? Chris Boxback, don't forget, he loves the Indiana soils. Stick around, GNCC Live continues after this.
Consistent clutch feel is vital to effective starts or to confidently maneuver around obstacles on the trail. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil was subjected to an extreme simulated start test. After 32 simulated race starts, AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil continued to deliver consistent clutch feel, and the clutch plates remain clean with no visible wear. The competitor's oil, however, allowed discoloration and significant wear after just 16 starts. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Give your bike the protection it needs.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
When my son started traveling out on the racing circuit, we couldn't afford to be unprepared. His first crash sent him to the hospital a long way from home. He was alone and hurting. I couldn't miss work, and his mother needed to be with his younger brother. Fortunately, our Fly You Home membership meant that once his condition was stable, he could be flown home to a local hospital to finish his recovery. The Fly You Home team took care of everything, and we never saw a bill.
The action is just heating up, and we're just getting started. Stay with us, live action on RacerTV.com.
The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X2. With a compact chassis perfect for exploring tight technical terrain. An ultra-quiet and smooth 850 class twin-cylinder engine. And next-level versatility with a 600-pound dumping cargo bed. No other side-by-side delivers this level of proven off-road performance. The all-new Wolverine X2 from Yamaha.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Chematic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Chematic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Chematic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Chematic. Chematic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
This RacerTV broadcast is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. I'm Mikey Waynes. You've already heard from my colleague, Rodney Tomlin, down on the start line, getting those iconic 10-second calls off the line for you guys. The XC1, the XC2, the FMF XC3, and of course our A and B classes off and rolling here at the Ironman GNCC. That's it. This is it. Last race of the year. We're in the absolute end of the season, the end of silly season as riders move up into different classes with championships wrapped up, or maybe they're in that point where you can't move up, you can't move back, so you say, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at this class. Maybe you move from the AM race into the afternoon race. Whatever the case may be, silly season is in full effect, my friends. So welcome again here to beautiful Ironman Raceway. So again, welcome to beautiful Ironman Raceway for the Ironman GNCC. And I got to tell you, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday, if you were here, or at least watching for the ATV side of things, it was muddy, it was nasty, it was soupy, and the rain never let up. It was just claiming one ATV after another. Goggles were almost a non-factor as they were pretty much rendered useless. It was complete chaos. But we've had pretty good weather today, albeit the damage is done on the track. I know for those out there wondering, yes, we did not run Ironman Hill yesterday. And I know a lot of people online were asking, are they running Ironman Hill today? Are they running? Yes, my friends, they are absolutely running Ironman Hill. So yeah, they are. They're going to come and right there through Ironman Hill, so you guys will get the treat of seeing that go down. And yeah, we should have a good day of racing. Obviously, the big news, as most of you probably already know, no Caleb Russell, no Thad Duvall. So this opens up the window for people to make a statement here to close out their season. And oh, okay. Oh, I don't even know if you're working, Rodney. So yeah, as we get things rolling here, we're going to take a look now, get some rider input coming into today's Ironman GNCC.
Yeah, the mud is, you know, it's just another factor. It's just like another rider out there. You just never know what's going to happen. It's tacking up pretty well. I think it should be fun. But yeah, like you said, we have the only mud in the pits right now. And I think it's just from sign up and stuff. And the more people that walk around on it and stuff, the more it gets turned up. But yeah, I think the 10 a.m. should make it for a good race for us for the 3-hour.
You know, I do. I like extreme conditions. You know, if it's dusty, if it's muddy, whatever. You know, it's just takes a different mindset to ride the different conditions. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good day, and the track's going to be gnarly and very challenging, and a lot of lines and a lot of decisions to make out on the track. So hopefully everything will work good, and we'll have a good day.
This race is going to be tough. It's going to be tough on the bikes and tough on us, especially now the rain's stopped. The mud's going to get super heavy on us and the bikes. It's going to be who can pick the smart lines and not get stuck and not be pushing their bike to the finish.
And, well, you know, it seems to be mud and the absence of Caleb and Thad that have a lot of folks fired up right now, and rightfully so. You know, the unknown variable with the mud, the great equalizer, as they like to call it, and without the extra competition there of guys like Thaddeus and Caleb, then, of course, the door seems to be wide open. And I know Jordan Ashburn is trying to step on in, which is something he's been trying to force himself through the door the last few races anyway. Really seen some great strides out of the 127 Kawasaki after getting off to the early lead. As you check in on RacerTV.com, we are watching here at the Monster Mile out near mile marker number 5, and I believe our leaders have already checked in through this portion of the racetrack, so we'll check in with them ourselves here in just a few moments a little further down the course. But meantime, in the booth with me right now, I've got an international superstar with us. He comes from the History Channel, believe it or not. You've heard of the show Axemen. I think everybody has heard of that and watched at least one episode in your life. He's also got a great YouTube channel, Talking with Steve Baylor. Steve, welcome to GNCC Racing. What I think is really cool, not only are you an Axeman, but you are a GNCC racer. You raced this morning in that 10 o'clock race.
Yeah, it was pretty muddy this morning, but ended up doing one lap, and bike got overheated, but What a daggone blast.
So how does someone like yourself, where are you from, man?
Southern Indiana. I'm about a hour, 45 minutes to an hour east of Evansville.
So are you an avid rider? Do you ride often?
I try to ride as much as I can, but being in the logging industry, it's hard to get out. You got to always work with Mother Nature, so the mud thing today wasn't really nothing strange to me, but it's totally different on a bike, though.
So you do a lot of racing?
Not a lot. I'm kind of new to the woods racing side of it, but I'm looking to pick it up here just in the next year or so, pick it up full time.
So that's awesome, man. So doing a little bit of TV work with the History Channel, got your YouTube channel and things like that. When can we catch the new episodes of the Axemen coming up?
Actually, the episodes had already aired for this year. I don't know if they're going to do a follow-up season.
But we can get them on demand. I know I can.
yeah, you can order them off of the History Channel website itself, or even off their YouTube page.
All righty, Steve. It's so much fun to have you on board, man.
It was a blast.
Glad
Appreciate it.
Hey, man, thanks for stopping by Racer TV, and we'll be looking for you, Steve. And good luck in the logging industry, and good luck on Axemen and all that great stuff. Well, folks, as we check out around, you can see the damage is done out here. It's like a bomb went off in this place last night, and if you were here, 30, 40-mile-an-hour winds, things were whipping around. All the banners got ripped down. It's crazy out this morning before 6 o'clock. The trail crew on dozers and on ATVs with chainsaws just out clearing the trail, getting it ready to go for this day and getting it ready for these final starts of 2019. And as we take a look at our replay reel here, we'll go back and take a look at how things broke down here in the XC1 start. Green flag waved on this one, and what a great jump. You know, seen a couple good jumps. I thought that Andrew DeLong might get a good jump out of this one, but man, coming in underneath, you just saw him thread the needle, the 127. This kid is on a high right now.
A Holeshot machine.
Yeah.
Jordan Ashburn has been here at the end of the year. All year.
That's it, and that's the XC1 Rapid Replay brought to you by Specialized. As we take a look at our XC2 start, another one of those jockey for positions heading into that first turn. Looks like a little more better traction for some than others, but as we hit the Holeshot stripe in this one, Mikey, it's all about that guy right there. I missed the number. I can't remember who it was that got the Holeshot.
I can't either. I'll be honest with you.
So apologize to that one about that one, but you know that's a critical part of the start. And minus Jesse Ansley, the XC3 start gets off and rolling in this one as well. And we pick ourselves up. I think we've seen a few new names in this one moving up. Maybe from the youth division or into this 125 class.
Silly season. Silly season,
it most certainly is. So nice start here, good clean start. Everybody up, everybody going. So this should be a really good XC3 125 class. Not that it hasn't been so far this season, but there's a little bit of difference in it with the absence of Jesse now. And, of course, I don't think obviously Cody Barnes not back with us due to the injury and so forth. So we got ourselves a great race, I think, going on and set the stage set for a great race today in this FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Actually, all these classes, the stage are set for something exactly like that.
Yeah, one of the same things, or along the same line of reasoning, is that XC2 class now wide open. You see a big hunger out of Craig DeLong in that class.
That's who got the whole shot.
Yes, that's who it was. That's where I was leading to. It finally occurred to me who that was.
I remember seeing the big 1-0 and was like, wow, man, with that pink background. It just really stuck out.
So, but obviously, a great start for Craig DeLong, taking the whole shot there and moving into to lap number 1. But with Ben Kelly moving up in the last couple of rounds to XC1 and then winning XC1 just 2 weeks ago at the Mountaineer GNCC. Everybody, there's just a buzz around XC2 now of, okay, this guy who's dominated this is gone. Now it's my turn.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that season wraps up here today.
And, I mean, I think like, whenever you take it, you take a prime example, same thing going on with Caleb and Thad being not here today. That inspires a lot of the riders in the XC1 class. So I think the inspiration is there for those guys that kind of beat themselves up and beat themselves in the early part of the season. They've got that revigorance, I guess you could say, in their program.
and looking for good things. And not that Craig was having a bad season whatsoever. Ben was just unbelievably fast, man, and these guys had to really push the envelope just to try to play in that same field. And we can see now with this XC250 Pro Classic, the absence of him, we're going to see a lot of great racing, a lot of good passing, I think, today. One rider that has really shown some great advancements, I think, through the latter half of this year has been Liam Draper. Liam coming with us out of the Teely Energy Racing KTM team over there on the 198 machine. Got his first win finally a few races ago, and has been consistently right there in the mix of things. Another rider that we've been calling out and looking for big things and seeing great things out of so far here in 2019 has been Michael Wachowski, the 282 out of North Liberty, Indiana, the Beta Factory Racing ride. And of course, Michael is another rider that is capable of taking a win. And of course, I honestly, about any one of these riders, anyone that lines up on the starting line is capable of taking a win. But there's a couple names I want to point out in the XC250 Pro class. One of those is that of Heath Harrison out of Silver Hill, Alabama. Actually he's on a Phoenix Racing Honda. Heath Harrison actually a part of the new Honda effort that we're seeing there on the East Coast. He comes in here just to play a little bit. I think we can expect to see some big things out of him in Arena Cross, maybe some Supercross in the upcoming season. So welcoming Heath Harrison here from the Phoenix Racing Honda team, and also welcoming to the XC2 250 Pro class the 328 now of Jesse Ansley. Ansley, we've seen him riding that #1 so much this year, but Ansley has got himself stacked up in the XC2 250 class, and we'll get a chance to see how that's all breaking down coming up here in a few moments, Mikey. And I know that you've got a few things that are on your mind as far as this class is concerned.
I believe 127, Jordan Ashburn is on a mission right now. I guess we got a rider there in the second place spot. There's what I believe is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And 6 right there out of the XC1,
Yeah, it looks like maybe Josh Strang back there in a top 5, top 6 position as well. Talking with him, he was pretty amped up about the end of the season. Now Andrew Delong is going to be going to the JNCC in a few weeks, or in a week or so, I guess it is, and going to be competing in their final championship race, and was talking with Josh Strang today during the Monster Energy pre-race report. He said he wasn't chosen in the initial choice of Team Australia, so he made plans to go ahead, and he's going on his own dime, going over. He knows Yoshi on a personal level, and they're going to he's going to go race the JNCC, maybe do a school over there and everything. He's looking really forward to that. So Andrew and looks like Josh will be representing GNCC Racing there at the JNCC this week. Looks like our leaders now coming through the pro pits, Mikey, and a lot of work been done in those pro pits. You can see some dozer blades that have been pushed through to tack that up a little bit.
That looks a lot different than yesterday.
I was talking to DQ earlier, and I'm going to eat my words right now. DQ jokingly said this morning, he said, yep, there's going to be dust kicking up in places before the day's over. Guess what? I just saw dust.
It's unbelievable. I actually heard somebody talking about it even in the afternoon yesterday.
Who's that? Has been Kelly in?
No, I don't believe so. That was one of the Teely. That might have been Stu.
Oh, yeah, that was the Teely Energy Racing pits. I'm sorry, that was either Stu or Grant coming in for a quick pit stop. You seen what they did there? They're trying goggles and gloves and things like that, but trying to keep that mud off the machine too.
That was such a huge factor yesterday, and I know the muddy conditions of the rain coming down in the moment of yesterday is different than the muddy conditions we have today, although, like you just said, we did see dust kicking up a little bit. But we've seen this, talking about Jordan Ashburn, we've seen this out of him a few times this season. But unfortunately, he's had either bike trouble, something has happened throughout the race. So I know, knowing the kind of competitive person that Jordan Ashburn is, he wants to end the season on a high note. Put an exclamation point on it. Put a whole race together.
Wow.
And that does, our producer Adam Gordon just came on the radio and said, that looks like a muddy desert. No, my friend, that is prime Indiana dirt.
That right there is prime farmland right there. The soybean
looks like a
field.
lake in some spots.
Probably feels like a lake. And so, oh, look at this. We got some battling. Is this for the 2nd or 3rd place position we're watching?
I think that is for 3rd. I believe we missed a rider, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, not far behind Ashburn. We do have our 2nd place ride. checking in with us. I can't see. I'm not going to go out on a limb. I'm not Johnny Gallagher. I can't tell by the way they.
Johnny's got them dialed in.
He does, man. I mean, Johnny can tell by just a glimpse of a rider who they are. Now, there's some riders that have telltale signs, but in these conditions today, I'm not going out on that limb. I'm just going to wait patiently. There is the 314 of Grant Baylor, so we know it's not him.
That's true.
Grant back there trying to wade his way through the field.
I mean, you think our XC2 guys are through there? That may have been Liam Draper.
I said 314 on his back.
Oh, no, not there. I meant in the pits.
In the pits. Yeah. That's a possibility, yes. Oh, my gosh. Talk about a blast from the past. They come out everywhere, out of the woodworks here at the Ironman. Hey, Factory Phil Smith getting the first place. You haven't been at a GNCC in over a year, have you? Oh, wow, the only one this year. How did that? It is. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys out. I'll catch up with you in a little bit, all right? All right. So, wow, good to see some old friends making their way in. And we've got our friends here from FCA Motocross that are here with us. And your name is?
My name is Lee Harrison.
Lee Harrison, that's it. I knew that, Lee. I just, names elude me quite often. But I know we got some big things going on here. Let's talk a little bit about FCA Motocross while we watch some of this racing unfold out here. And we'll start to get some of these names. But FCA Motocross is basically a Christian-based organization that has its roots, this particular part of the organization, in the motocross industry.
Yeah, so what we do is we go out and do trackside ministry, which incorporates going out to the track and ministering to families, sharing God's word, spreading the message of Christ. Part of our ministry is
by the way, Jordan Ashburn making his way through for the first lap complete. We'll finish this thought in just a moment, Lee. Right now we got, that was Ricky Russell. That was in that second place position. Ben Kelly in the number 3 spot. Josh Toth is 4th. Trevor Bollinger in 5th. So that must have been Toth and Kelly we seen battling out there a few moments ago as Bollinger pulls up only a second behind these riders as well in the 5th place position aboard the 739. Those front 5 now making their way through the finish line and a little bit of a gap back to the rest of the field. So, I'm sorry, go ahead now.
No, that's okay. So part of what we do is actually motocross camps as well and off-road camps. We actually hold a camp here last year at Ironman. Part of the track they're out there on right now was one of the sections my kids and different kids work on. So we go out and work on trackside stuff, work on improving our characteristics and what we can do on and off the track. And then in the evening, we do some worship, we take some Bible study, we spend time in God's Word, learning about God and how we can be better people and show each other love. And that's kind of probably what brought me up here was Babbitt's team. Actually, Eddie Babbitt had donated a bike to us, to our organization. And what we did is we took out and sold raffle tickets at $10 a piece all over the U.S. and did the raffle this weekend and gave a bike away.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Brand new KX250.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing right
there. And that's part of what Babbitt's team does. Babbitt's Online has done nothing but help us.
So who got the bike? How did they get that? Obviously through donations.
It's through donations, and Josh Deal actually was the winner. We did the drawing this morning in Kentucky because we had a Kentucky license, so they had to drive all the tickets from here
to
Kentucky. Adam did a video this morning and actually gave us the winner. We found that winner. He's actually a young guy that's getting ready to have a baby in a month, so he didn't get to make it because they were worried about, maybe that not working out. So we're actually going to take the bike to him.
Awesome.
So
that's great.
Worked out real well for him.
Well, Lee, people can find out more about FCA Motocross through
our website, through FCAmotocross.com, FCAMX. We've got different camps and ministries. We've got a camp going to Guatemala next week. I mean, we're going international, so it's a pretty cool thing.
That is very cool. Lee, it's such a pleasure to have you on. It's such a pleasure to have you a part of GNCC, and thanks for what you're doing and spreading God's word, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Have a good day, guys.
And I'm turning off there, I guess. Mikey Wayne's joining us back here. Mikey, I don't know if you've been watching this, but we got Ashburn in, Russell in, Kelly in, Toth in, Bollinger in. Those top 5 with about a 20-second lead. Call it technically 18.3 seconds over now Stu Baylor, who is 6th, Lane Michael in 7th, Andrew DeLong in 8th, Craig Delong, your XC2 250 Pro Class leader, is 9th overall right now, and second place in that class, the 981 of Jonathan Johnson, rounds out your top 10. Now, wow, Jonathan Johnson, he's kind of new to this XC2 class. Is this his first race in the XC2?
I don't. That name sounds real familiar. Unless he's been excelling in another class, you might be right. This may be.
It seems a little out of place, but I may be wrong. It may be just that finally getting a chance to see him a little more solidly here in this overall here today, which is good to see. Liam Draper checking in. He is 11th place overall right now. He is 3rd in the XC2 250 Pro Class. There's Chris Bach, Indiana's favorite child there out of Hebron, Indiana. He is 12th place overall. Evan Smith, the 347, is 13th overall. 14th is Grant Baylor. 15th is Austin Lee from that XC2 250 Pro Class. Heath Harrison is 16th. Josh Strang is 17th overall. Now let's look at the XC2 250 Pro Class. And, well, we got a replay coming up here in just a moment of Ironman Hill. And,
yeah, buddy.
This is always a good one. Our camera guys from out at NBC Sports out there on Ironman Hill getting us this great footage. Of course, Jordan Ashburn leading this one in that part of the racetrack. And want to let you know, Trampus, stand by. We'll be with you in just a few moments. Trampus Parker is also here with us, getting ready. We'll talk with him here shortly. But right now, here's the replay, and you can see how tight things are as they come up. And look at this, riders choosing alternate lines here. And I almost have to think that there may have been some passing taking place on some of those riders over there. So you see Ben Kelly way over to the right. Not sure where Josh Toth got off to, but pretty amazing. You know, oftentimes these guys, there's Josh Toth. So we know that some things
Bollinger
changed since they got to there, because they got up to that 4th and 5th place position. There's Lane Michael. He's checking in aboard the 523 now.
That line, that line to the left-hand side seems to be the popular one everybody's choosing, except for the guy out in front, Jordan Ashburn, taking it right up the gut, right up the middle.
And, you know, that's obviously the one line that's been used the most in years past. It's the straightest line coming out of the creek. It's obviously got the most wear and tear on it. Jordan, obviously, not a bit of afraid of it here on this first lap. And it's kind of surprising and shocking, not necessarily in a bad way, but just kind of intriguing to me, I think, in a way, to see these guys going left and right of that main line instead of shooting the gut like Jordan Ashburn did that you were talking about there.
You're exactly right. And how about it? I mean, we talk about it being the end of the year. Guys have something to prove to either themselves, their sponsors, their teams. And to me, the two biggest guys who want to go out there and put a exclamation point on the season are Jordan Ashburn and Ricky Russell, and that's your 1 and 2 right now after
Yeah, absolutely. Both those guys left a lot on the table, I think, as far as 2019 has been concerned, and this is their way to pick up some of those scraps and really, and nothing to shake a stick at or be unproud of. That's for sure. I know, talking with Ricky Russell, he didn't have the stellar season that was expected of him, breaking the leg coming into the season and taking a little while. But, you know, he did it the right way. He came on just exactly the right way, easing his way back into the situation and scenario to where he is a top player every time that green flag flies.
You're exactly right.
Well, right now, as we take a look at this one, we see that we got a barn burner already blazing. Jordan Ashburn leading Ricky Russell. There is a 7.6-second gap, but conditions and craziness, I'm sure, are ahead. As Ben Kelly back in the number 3 spot. Josh Toth is 4th. Trevor Bollinger is 5th. Stick around. We're going to have more from Ironman GNCC in Crawfordsville, Indiana, when we return.
Your bearings shoulder the burden whenever you tow, haul, or stop the gas. AMSOIL delivers powerful protection for bearings and other critical components so you can drive with confidence. To demonstrate, an independent lab put AMSOIL synthetic motor oil head-to-head against a leading competitor in a 100,000-mile test. AMSOIL provided far superior wear protection and kept engine bearings looking like new. Get your truck the protection it deserves at amsoil.com/auto.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track. And we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
I'm a junior pro surfer from Maui, Hawaii. I actually tried to homeschool in 8th grade and just didn't meet my needs. I came to On Track in 9th grade, and from the beginning I really liked it.
The mission at On Track School is to make academic success completely possible for each and every student while they're out pursuing their personal goals.
Everything is just super easy with On Track. I get to take my computer on the road whenever I need to. It makes it very easy for me to get all my work done.
If you're looking for a program that provides flexibility and a program that you can take anywhere that fits your lifestyle, then On Track is for you. So come check us out at ontrackschool.com and go get it.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Well, we got up that morning and we got a phone call from my other son, and he had spent the night at Ethan's house, and he called me and said, "Have you guys seen Ethan?" "No, I haven't." "And where did he not come home last night?" And they said, "No, he didn't." And that's unusual. He always came home. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. He went off the road off of Route 33 down into the trees, and his truck disappeared in the brush. And no one found his truck until approximately 8 or 8:30 the next morning. It's almost an exact replica of Ethan on his bike. A 450 rod holding the bike up, which is fitting, absolutely perfect. A gentleman that I ran into on Facebook, I seen some of his work, I seen some of the progress he was making on other things, and I had to do something. I felt like I had to have something. And I messaged him. He took on the job, and approximately 3 months later, I'm almost dead replica. I mean, right on the money to everything, down to the motor, the rear shock linkage, the shocks, the piggyback shocks, the graphics on the machine, everything. And it was just so much for us my wife and I were just struck. I mean, we were just, we didn't know, we couldn't believe it. You know, Ethan was about 230 pounds, he was about 6'6". So you could look at the size of the rider on the bike, and he looks almost a little bit too big for the bike, and that was him. That was absolutely him. Absolutely, it really does. GNCC itself went above and beyond at the funeral, and with Carrie Joe coming to the funeral home, and the balloon release at Mountaineer Run.
Well, there you go, and wow, what a fitting memorial. That is, it's touching. It is very touching. It's heartbreaking, but man, what a very nice commemorative piece there for sure. As we welcome you back here to Ironman GNCC, Rodney Tomlin along with Mikey Waynes, and I think Johnny Gallagher may be showing up. I know Johnny's got a lot going on. He had a lot of mud in his eyes and things like that yesterday. taking a look at some of our classes. If you look up there on the left side of the screen, Mikey, you'll be able to watch the top 10 in each one of our classes. We want to take an opportunity to talk. Now, we have talked a little bit about obviously the FXC1. We have talked a little bit also about this XC2 250 class. But we can talk a little bit more about this XC2 250 class. We talked about, obviously, Jesse Ansley's move up. We talked about the move of Craig Delong and the great start that he's got. We talk about Heath Harrison and visiting from Phoenix Racing. One rider that we didn't touch on so much just yet is Ryder Lafferty, a rider that we have seen really making some waves in the last few races that we've seen him out there on the racetrack, and a kind of a legacy, if you will, with his dad and his uncle Mike being Mike was certainly a big GNCC racer for many, many years. But anyway, we've seen some big strides out of the youngster, the 44 machine, in recent weeks. But today, as we take a look at the FMF, or the XC2 250 Pro class, we see his name on the roster, but Ryder has not checked in for a lap complete yet, and that's not good news for the momentum that he had going into this. But the good thing about it, whatever it is, it's the last race of the season. The conditions are definitely, I think the word from yesterday was brutal that the ATV riders was giving 100%. Us, and gnarly is a word that the bike riders like to use a lot of as we watch in some of our action here at the Monster Mile. But nonetheless, we'll be keeping an eye out there, see if Ryder Lafferty makes his way in. Of course, looking down through some of these, there's Austin Lee. I see Austin Lee out there in 5th place, another rider that had a phenomenal ride last race out. I almost thought he had a win.
Oh, yeah, you're
going
right.
there at one point in the early part of the race, really putting together some good things there in that new race down in Beckley. As I tell you, that racetrack certainly offered up a lot of challenges in and of itself, but certainly I think gave us a good indication to who some of the stronger riders are heading into the offseason.
Yeah, you're exactly right. One of the names that sticks out to me, picked up his first win a couple rounds ago, Liam Draper.
Yeah.
And then he's coming off that race where I believe I'm getting them all mixed up. It's so that late in the season, every round's kind of meshing together. But I believe it was last round he ended up having a mechanical issue, wasn't able to finish the race, was really disappointed that he wasn't able to back up that win. And you can see right now in 3rd place, at least last time he checked in. So he's hard on the charge, wants to prove something here to finish up the season. And then I believe the same story out of Evan Smith on the Husky. Had some mechanical issues as well. So he's looking for a little redemption here to finish out the season. So really, those top 5 guys, and then you throw in the name Jonathan Johnson. There's some big names moving there in the XC2.
Yeah, Jonathan's one of those riders we've kind of watched grow, I think, a little bit over the course of the last few years. As we take a look at his results so far here in 2019, he has been a solid top 10 competitor in all of our races. He's only finished outside the top 10 in the XC2 250 Pro class twice. Well, 3 times, I guess, if you count that DNF that he got last race in Beckley, West Virginia. But we've seen 4th place finishes, we've seen 5th place finishes, and 5th place rides, and a few 7th place finishes. But today is got to be the day of all days. You know, we talk about that inspiration. Ben Kelly's not there, and whether that's the case or not, or whether he just likes the conditions, or if he just has it, the mojo today, whatever the case may be, Jonathan Johnson has really picked things up for this final round of racing, and this is the explanation point that we talk about for people.
Well, there you go. Ryder Lafferty finally checking in there with a first lap completed, puts him in the 18th spot in the Pro-Am class of that XC2.
Wow, what a heartbreaker for him. 49-minute lap time. Just to give you an idea, leaders in the XC2 250 Pro class turning a 36:17 lap time. In the XC1 Open Pro class, Jordan Ashburn a 35:41. So that gives you an idea of what the leaders are looking like as far as times. The FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Here's the new name, Benjamin Wright, out of Gillette, Pennsylvania. Not so much a new name, I don't think. I mean, the name has been around, but a new name up front in this 125 Pro-Am class anyway. Wright out of Gillette, Pennsylvania, with only a 1.8 second lead over Nathan Ferderer. And that's a mouthful of nothing. Ferderer. And he's out of Columbia Heights, Minnesota, I believe it is. That's a new name for me. I think I've seen that name, but not on a consistent basis. It doesn't ring any bells for me. So to see him come out here and here to the Ironman and proving himself so well early on is really nice.
Just to watch it on screen there. That's welcome to Ironman, my friends.
Yes, sir. Chase Colville back in the number 3 spot. I think we've seen Chase take a win or two so far this season. Chase is another rider that I think that he's just really gotten his sunk his teeth into things and getting his legs wet. You know, he's not so green anymore. He's starting to get a little bit of experience, and as the experience rolls on, we start to see stronger and more consistency out of him. I think as we head into 2020, Chase Colville is going to be a name that you're going to want to watch no matter what class, whether it be this 125 Pro-Am class or if he moves up to the 250 class. Mike DeLosa in 4th and Jake Froman rounding out the top 5. And Jake Froman seems like a name that was not too long ago in the youth class. I'd say probably within the last 2 years, he's fresh out of the youth classes and now into these amateur classes and making a move up into this XC3 125 class. He's 5th. Logan Kiddick, we've seen out here in 6th. Nick Hunt, 7th. Jason Lipscomb is 8th. Preston Weiler is 9th. And Joe Marsh rounds out your top 10. A little conjuring our little heads together in the Babbitt's-on Lawn Monster Energy Kawasaki team as you see Fred Andrews, the 1993 GNCC champ and the team manager over there at Babbitt's Online Monster Kawasaki. A great, I think, honestly, a great mentor to have in the program. And I think that when I was talking with Josh Strang in my pre-race interview today, he was kind of alluding to that. He didn't come out and say that, but I think that's basically what he was kind of leaning towards, the meshing, the camaraderie, the feel, the atmosphere, how much different and how things are there. With Kawasaki and the family atmosphere that he feels with Fred. And that's one thing that Fred's always been a family rider. His dad's always been a part of it. The wife's always been there. The kids, even though they don't race, they were always there at the races and so forth. So, it's good to see.
To kind of speak to it being the family atmosphere, as I saw, I believe, in the background, is a little blurry on the screen. I think that was actually Grant Davis's dad in the background. Grant Davis wrapped up the YXC2 championship earlier this year. His last 2 rounds, he ran row number 1 in the youth ranks. He picked up a win a couple weekends ago and then picked up the win again today for Babbitt's Kawasaki team. So I don't think they're going anywhere for a while. He got some major riders behind him.
Well, I got to tip my hat to Team Green as well. That program that we saw in amateur motocross for so many years that strengthened and made so many champions over time. We're seeing that now. I was talking with Doug Duchette, and they bring the amateur support truck out a lot, and we're starting to see a lot more of the Kawasaki's in the amateur classes, seeing more of the Kawasaki's in the youth classes. So that's a pretty good indication that the Kawasaki's are starting to, being back in this, it's got a little life breathed into the program. So Kawasaki, they send the support truck out here, and we should expect to see that a lot more in the future.
I think you're exactly right. The GNCC's in good hands.
It most certainly is. And so we watch the Ironman Hill fan cam. What's this all about? Is this cell phone footage that we're watching? This is a FaceTime phone, believe it or not. Yeah, we had fiber optics with the wind and everything. They got cut, so we didn't have time to go rerun new fiber optic wires. So we got a buddy of our producer down there with FaceTime. He's giving us an indication, showing us what it's like down there at Ironman Hill. Hey, Mikey.
Corey Burns.
Corey Burns. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate you being there on the spot. Hey, last night, did you see the kid, or did you just see a picture? The little Mike.
There was 2 of them.
There was a Mikey Waynes and there was a Ricky Towery.
Obviously I'm biased of who my vote's for, but that Ricky Towery was incredible. We had the Halloween costume contest last night, and Carson Hope. Here we go. The 1, 2, 3 of Carson Hope. He runs the youth races.
A new 1, 2, 3. Huh?
Yeah. He was waiting on the Austin Lee. No, Austin Lee did not dress up like Mikey Waynes. It was Carson Hope did, and a local kid, Cray Fair, dressed up as me as well, and then his buddy dressed up as DQ. They went as the Bottleneck Live. So I don't know what kind of impression we're making on kids. I'm worried about it, to be honest with you. But it was cool.
I guess they had the credentials.
They did. It was
the little Ricky Towery had a radio.
logo, and had flags, had everything.
Flag,
So
yep.
Thanks to everybody for the creativity and everybody that participated in our Halloween yesterday, in our costume contest, and of course Trick or Treat that took place there last evening as well. And thanks to Corey for live footage coming in from Ironman Hill. Now, some of these classes, we talk about the XC1, XC2, and XC3 quite a bit. Another class that always seems to get my attention and spark a lot of attention for me is that 250A class. I don't know. I guess it was because for a while and for a good long time, Mikey, this 250A class was the stepping stone class into the XC1 class before the XC2 class became what it is. We had the 258 class, and it was the step down from the premier race, or it seemed to be. It was that in the Open A, but 250A riders just always seem to dominate in the overall. And so we think that this is great. What's this here? What is that? Oh, there it is. There is the Bottleneck Live picture.
Hope, you're famous, buddy.
Where do you get the RacerTV shirt? You gave it.
No. It's actually just like an Adidas pullover, and I don't know if they did a screen
cricket.
print.
Yeah, they probably
did. And it's like taped to the shirt. And then the credential, he literally basically copied our style of credentials from Racer Productions, pulled a picture of me off of Instagram, and made it his own credential.
That's awesome.
He may be onto something. He may bootleg credentials for people next year or something.
That don't work, I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, you can try all you want.
Yeah.
They got her dialed in.
They most certainly do. Hey, back out here at, this is Twin Hills, I believe. I called it Twin Peaks in the opener.
You're not the only one. I've been hearing that a lot this week, and I was like, guys, there's no peaks in Indiana. You're a few states too far in the Midwest.
Hey, speaking of Midwest, as we take a look at the 258 class, Nathaniel Tasha out of Massachusetts. We're getting a lot of these New England guys up here. We got Bennington, Vermont for Simon Johnson. He's in second. Ryder LeBlanc, there we go, the first rider from the heart of the GNCC Racing Nation. A minute down right now, actually 3 seconds down, I'm sorry. He's 3 seconds down from Simon Johnson. Brody Johnson out of Landrum, South Carolina, another 2 seconds back and forth. And Cole Whitmer rounds out your top five there on board the 518. But we were talking about the West and East and this, that, and the other. But, we got one rider here. I keep talking about him, and he just goes and walks away as we started to introduce him.
I know.
But Trampus Parker is here. He is a two-time World Grand Prix champion, and did something the first time that no American had ever done, and that was, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s, was able to pull that off. Did it, I think, once on a Husky, and maybe it was a KTM and a Honda, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless of what he did him on, he did it twice. He is the man as far as motocross and Grand Prix and amateur motocross. He's even been racing some of that in recent years. And, of course, now a GNCC racer, as we welcome Trampus Parker to RacerTV. Trampus, welcome to Ironman, man.
Oh, it's an absolute honor to be here. I had so much fun. I was like a 52-year-old kid in a candy store out there.
I hear that a lot. And even in these conditions, it was like that?
The trails weren't that bad. The first lap, a little greasy. The second lap, it got really good. Probably about 70% of the trails were really good. And then by lap 3, about 80% of them were picture perfect. I mean, you couldn't have asked for better conditions.
So I understand that did you ride the 83 Husky, or did you have an old bike that you were supposed to ride, like a vintage bike of some sort?
Yeah, we rode the 83 Husky, the cross-country bike, and prepared by Craig Hayes, and had an absolute blast.
How did that handle? Obviously, I'm sure there was mud, obviously, in the 80s. Did you notice any difference in the handling of that bike over today's bikes or anything, really? I mean, would you have fared better on today's bike, or you think it was just, it was a tank basically going through the woods today, I guess, huh?
No, actually, I think you could throw any of the top guys on it, and they would come back and say it turns way better than any of the modern bikes. It handles so super good. And I think through the woods, you could throw any of your top 10 guys on it, and they would turn the same lap times. The only disadvantage it has is the brakes.
Really? Disc brakes and drum brakes, I guess, huh?
Yes, that's the only disadvantage.
Wow. I'd like to see Thad Duvall.
I think he would embarrass a lot of people and make the manufacturers think we're putting way too much into it.
And that says a lot about the brand itself. Here you've got a bike that's, 35 years old nearly or better, and it can still go up, withhold, stand up, and perform in probably some of the worst conditions of off-road racing. We've had a lot worse, obviously, and like you said, it wasn't bad, but there were some spots out there in the track. I mean, honestly, I'm impressed with what these machines are able to accomplish there.
Yeah, it was. I thought the trails were absolutely wonderful. You know, there was 2 or 3 bad spots, and they wouldn't have been bad, but the guys just seemed to always stop right at the worst place.
I believe that may be our leader on screen right now. We're watching the 127 of Jordan Ashburn work his way through the open field sections via our Yamaha live drone now, and it appears that he has stretched his lead out to a little bit more of a comfort zone here as we continue to work our way toward the completion of lap number 2. We should be seeing our leaders in within the next 7 minutes or so. A little longer track this week, slower too because of the conditions. 35 minutes and 41 seconds last time around for Ashburn. Ricky Russell turned a 35:48. And like we said, it should be about 7 more minutes. They'll be making their way in, and we'll be checking in with them on occasion. And again, talking with Trampus Parker here at RacerTV. And Trampus, racing this morning, really enjoying what you were doing, obviously. I got to ask you a couple different questions. Number one, will you be back to do it again?
Yes, I definitely want to come back. I'm telling you, what impressed me the most, I'd got to talk to Mr. Tim Cotter before I came up here, and he said, you're going to be blown away. And I was absolutely blown away. But most of all, just the organization that y'all have is, it is just unbelievable.
Well, I'm glad you see it that way.
Yes.
No, yeah, it is. We've got a system that it's flexible. I'm not going to lie to you. We got to be very, very flexible in what we do under the circumstances and conditions. But thank you for noting that. But the other question that I have, Trampus, an avid motocrosser, you do some amateur stuff now, former world champ. What would make you want to come race at GNCC? What sparked your attention? What sparked your interest in this?
You know, the GNCC had always been on my bucket list. It was something that when I came back from overseas that I wanted to do. And, you know, when I come back in 2006, I even considered putting a whole season together, and things just didn't work out that way. And I'd always said I wanted to do one. It's something I enjoy watching RacerTV. I enjoy getting to watch these guys, actually more than I enjoy watching an outdoor motocross. Unfortunately, y'all only give us 30 minutes. It's kind of like teasing us. And I just have a great passion for what these guys do. I did a lot of riding with a bunch of the Enduro World Champions back in the day, and I had more fun riding in the woods than I ever had on a motocross track. And today, a dream came true.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That's amazing. And I understand that you were here last night. You spoke at Team Faith Chapel services also.
Oh, yeah. Chuck and the guys over there at Team Faith allowed me to get up there and speak. And it was just absolutely a beautiful thing. And, you know, there quite a few people come out. And I thank the good Lord each and every day for allowing me to do what I do. You know, I wasted 50 years of my life being a non-Christian.
Right.
But the good Lord had a plan for me, and after 50 years, he finally told me it's time to wake up and do what's right. And the past 2 years, that's been my goal in life, is to lead more people like myself.
I'm glad you found that peace in that place in your life, and probably didn't realize how unpeaceful you were until you were able to make that move. Well, Trampus, it's certainly an honor and a privilege to have you here. I hope to see you back here more. I'd love to hear you and know that you're working with Chuck more in the future. I know you've got a great testimony. I mean, I heard part of it yesterday, and a lot of great stories. And again, just thank you for your presence here in GNCC, and look forward to seeing you and working with you, I hope, a lot more in the future, man.
Well, thank y'all, and just thank y'all for allowing me to be out here and getting to ride with all these great riders and getting to watch these guys this afternoon. This is like being a little kid again, I'm telling you.
It is.
Sitting on the fence watching Marty Smith back in the day.
Isn't it crazy how these guys go out here?
Yeah,
it is nuts.
Unbelievable. Hopefully Team USA will do real good over at the 16.
Yes, we'll be keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Trampus.
Hey, thank you.
All right,
thank
Trampus
everybody.
Parker, world champion, former world champion, and now GNCC racer, as he has made his way into the world, and we certainly appreciate the great stories and the wonderful things that he brings from his world there in Louisiana. And of course, right now we got reports reports and we got visuals coming in. Ben Kelly has taken over the lead from Jordan Ashburn, according to coming out of the pits there and coming into the finish line region. That's exactly what we're seeing, Mikey Waynes, as we wrap up lap number 2. A quick pit stop by the number 530 puts him right back into position for a back-to-back situation as only a rookie. And technically, I mean, I guess he's a rookie, but this isn't even
but
his
not
rookie.
even.
It's not his rookie season. This is kind of like testing the waters. He was just introducing. It was his debut. And this is his 3rd race out. 2nd race, he took a win. We've never had that happen in GNCC racing.
It is incredible, and I know what people are going to say. Well, Thad Duvall was out. Caleb Russell did not finish the last race. And Bollinger is now hard on the throttle against Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah, he does. Ashburn, man, I don't know that there's something plaguing him out there. We saw him lose about 16, 17 seconds on that lap alone to Ben Kelly. Lap times that time around a 32:41 for Ben Kelly. Actually, he lost quite a bit more than that, it looks like, about 15 or so seconds. Jordan Ashburn turned a 33:07 lap time. Okay, 16.5 seconds, I guess, what he would have lost.
Also, update for you. Johnny Gallagher texted me. He said, I'm on my way. I'm trying to literally get my right eye open. So he's had a rough one.
Yeah.
Yesterday was nasty.
Yeah, who was it that was in here yesterday talking with me? Landon. Oh,
bloodshot eyes, all of them. I mean,
it wasn't even that. He had some stuff starting to form in his eye. I mean, you could tell it was really irritated. I know those guys went through a lot yesterday. There's no doubt about it. Andrew DeLong, your leader of the XC250 Pro Class. Craig DeLong. Yeah. Craig DeLong. Sorry about that.
Close, it's close. I get it.
So I do that too. It was told to me in my head. But I often do that.
I did the same thing with the Holeshot.
I do it all the time. All the time I do that. And I apologize to Craig every time, and to Andrew, because I know he don't like to have his little brother called.
Now wait a minute.
Vice versa. So there you go. But Andrew DeLong is the 410 XC1 Phoenix Racing Honda ride. Craig DeLong leading the XC250 Pro Class on number 10. Coastal Racing Husqvarna. So we got that squared away in our minds and with the rest of the world now, I believe. But 2 laps complete. Ashburn, Bollinger, the way they came through, Bollinger around Josh Toth, Jonathan Johnson is, up to 5th place overall. He's gotten around Craig DeLong. And they are 5th and 6th place overall after 2 laps of racing complete. Some other changes in this XC1 class, too, as we take a little bit of a look at it. They got Kelly Ashburn. Actually, Bollinger now, I think, got around Ashburn. We'll double check that. Josh Toth in 4th, Andrew DeLong in the number 5 spot. Stu Baylor in 6th. There's only 6 seconds separating those guys. Ricky Russell back to 7 now. Now, Ricky was all the way up to 2nd.
It's once Johnny gets in here, we'll run over, talk to the guys at Yamaha, see what maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that, you do the math. There's a minute 15, a minute and 25 seconds he's lost over the course of the last lap or so. There's Josh String working his way through now on the 114 Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki ride. Another rider that is, man, Mikey, I don't know if it's the atmosphere of this race and everybody is just, feeling, don't feel the pressure or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's the fact that both Josh and Jordy have everything secure for next year. Yeah. There was a learning year and they got things dialed in. But, man, Josh has the best attitude. I mean, I know I've said this before.
Yeah,
I've said this before, but I think it was just a prelude to what we're seeing out of him now, I believe. And you're right, the interview. I had a really long, extended interview with him.
I was loving every second of it. It was good to hear him. That upbeat, that positive. He's comfortable, and I think that's half the battle.
And that's really upbeat and positive. Yeah. That's something, a year ago when we interviewed Josh Strang, he was not an upbeat. No. He was not a positive individual. Right. He was here collecting paychecks. Yeah. He's here because he loves his job now.
Yeah,
he even said it. I get to ride my motorcycle today. This is my job. And when you start talking like that, you know you found a good home. And again, that I credit a lot of that, not only the Monster Energy Kawasaki and Babbitt's Online team, but a lot of that goes to Fred Andrews, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
And Joey, the mechanic. Yeah. Joey, Fred and Joey, they're basically a one-unit type ordeal over there. But those guys, man, really, man, can put you at ease and put you in a good position too. All right, so with that, we see we got those changes. We talked about the change in the XC2 250 Pro Class. Jonathan Johnson, who's had his best finish of 4th. Before that, 7ths and some 6ths and maybe some 5ths and things like that.
Jesse Ansley on screen getting the pit stop. Front number plate gone.
Wow. Imagine these
conditions. Pointing at the wrist, probably saying, my heart rate is up. What's going on here?
Well, he's riding a little stronger
you
bike.
Know what? If the conditions are anything like yesterday, and they are similar, not exact, but I know a lot of that. Now he's off the bike. Now he's off the bike completely. But I know these guys were using fuel like maybe the.
Oh, wait a minute. He's kind of. Yeah, I was going to say, look, he's kind of nursing that left arm.
Yeah, we'll have to get down there and find out.
Yeah, go ahead and head on down there. I'll cover a couple of things.
My whole point was fuel for these guys, which obviously that's significantly more than any kind of fuel issue. But they were saying yesterday on the Pro ATV side that they were using as much fuel in one lap as normally 2 in any other race. So I don't know if that might be the case. I'm going to run down there, find out what the heck's going on.
Well, looking like a possible wrist injury as we see that. Mikey Wayne's on his way down to take a look and get some words in with him and a couple of the other pits over there to find out how things are trends moving along here, I guess we should say. Again, at this XC2 250 class, Liam Draper up to the number 3 spot now. Evan Smith is 4th. Austin Lee is now dropped to the number 5 spot. He's 2 minutes and 5 seconds behind Smith, who's 1 minute and 1 second behind Liam Draper. Draper is only 15 seconds behind Craig DeLong and only 16 seconds out of the first place position. So we've got ourselves, I think, a whale of a barn burner about ready to strike up here in this XC2 250 Pro Class. And Liam Draper, with recent success, as you know, mighty hungry and wants obviously a lot more out of this race day and is going to be working for it. As we said, Evan Smith, Austin Lee. Then it's Heath Harrison. Heath Harrison was 6th a lap ago. He hasn't checked in yet. He was 23 seconds behind Austin Lee, whom they are riding as team members, or behind the 5th place rider now. If he checks in now, he would be behind Austin Lee, his team member, but we'll see whether or not that is the case. Whenever old Double H's Heath Harrison 24 machine checks in here in just a little bit in this XC2 250 Pro Class. Again, waiting on our second laps, I should say, from the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. 3 minutes out. Benjamin Wright, Nathan Verderer, Chase Colville in 3rd, Mike DeLosa in 4th, Jake Roman rounding out the top 5. Those guys are due in at 3. That'll be for 2 laps complete, and we're getting indications of a 5-lap race now. So riders should start planning according to that. And with that, again, some big things going on. Ben Kelly out front. This second lap has really brought a lot to the table as far as this Ironman GNCC is concerned. Ben Kelly around Jordan Ashburn. I believe that Bollinger's gotten around Ashburn now, as there was less than a second between those two. So about 20 seconds through our top 3. Josh Toth another 13 seconds back and forth. But the big news, I think, as much as Kelly going, maybe even bigger, is the fact that Jonathan Johnson into the lead and into the top 5 in the from the XC2 250 Pro Class. And like I said, looking back through the results, he did get a 4th place. He got some other stronger top 10 finishes throughout the year. But this, by far, is a far cry stronger ride than we've seen out of him at any occasion so far, at least from what I can recognize throughout the first 12 rounds of racing for that young rider. So Jonathan Johnson definitely going to be keeping an eye on that rider. And Craig DeLong right behind him, who's got an eye on him. On time adjustments right now, Andrew DeLong is on time adjustments, let's see, about 9 seconds. 9 seconds behind Craig DeLong. So Andrew is 9 seconds off pace of Craig in that 6th place position. But at the same time, you say that, you say, Seth, this is a great ride we got going for Andrew DeLong right now. He is currently 5th in that XC1 Pro Class. which is another great place that we've seen him a few times in the throughout the course of this season. But as the season wears on and as he's gotten more and more meshed with that Honda machine, seeing stronger and more consistent rides out of the 410 machine, and looking for just exactly that to wrap up 2019. And I know given that incentive for the 2020 season coming up, as he'll be back into the top 10. He'll be back on Pro Row with all the other big factory rigs, and Andrew's really pumped and stoked. And again, Andrew heading to Japan here in a day or so. There's Jesse Ansley, as you can see, distraught look on his face. I don't know if there's pain or if it's just aggravation or whatever the case may be. I'm sure a lot of disappointment in that heart and those eyes as well. But the one thing that we got to look on the positive note of this is that Jesse got his feet wet in the XC2 250 Pro Class, which was exactly why he was running this this race today. And it is the end of the season. So if there happens to be an injury that may be something lingering, he will have a little extra time to let that heal up and still not miss the training season. So Jesse may be thinking, oh man, I can't believe where I'm at, and maybe I've hurt myself. And if that is the case, it couldn't happen really at a better time as far as I'm concerned when we look at the big picture. Right now, we are looking at about 21 and a half minutes before our leaders will be due back in the XC1 Pro Class. And we'll see likely Ben Kelly still holding on to the lead if that 16-second gap and that 32-minute and 41-second lap time is any indication. And some of our cameras getting a little frozen out there on Twin Hills. And of course, this is an area of the racetrack yesterday that, you know, we expected, and I think it was kind of a turn of events for some of the classes and some of the riders out there. Some were having some issues getting to the top of the hills out there, while others weren't having issues. Seems to be the case. Mud holes, some have issues with it, some don't. Some have issues right through a flat field with mud in it, while others do not. Beautiful. Here we are. We're on the backside of the Pro Pit area. This is what we call the FMF Power Point. Now, as you come into this, you come out of the field section, cross the gravel driveway, and then head into another gravel pit, I guess you could say, a pile of gravels that they've got, and they've designed with some obstacle-type terrain in it. And then you go into a big mulch pile kind of sort of thing there, with which kind of liking in itself to what we've seen there at John Penton a few years ago. The mulch pile's turned into a big pile of loamy dirt now. But nonetheless, the characteristics of this FMF PowerPoint changing constantly. As you can see, two solid lines that our ATVs made coming in there yesterday, and the bike guys are utilizing that, getting the speed they need to get through this. Well, it is a little bit more challenging. And but one thing is for certain, you got to keep your eyes open going through this one, and you might even need to be on your timing game if circumstances arise that put you in that situation. It's again just a little bit of a pile of dirt basically that you see there, but as the day wears on, it certainly creates a race face. And then after you get through there, probably one of the gnarlier parts on the racetrack, it was anticipated, we saw last year, between the Pro Pits and this FMF PowerPoint, really got to be a challenge of a race. And of course, with that, we don't know if that's going to be the case, if that's going to be a game changer at any of the places today, but we'll certainly be watching and waiting to find out. And rewind 1 year ago, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ben Kelly was what? Certainly a strong rider. He was going for the XC2 250 Pro Class as he was battling with his teammate Josh Toth, believe it or not. Hey, and you know, we were talking about and looking at Jesse Ansley here on Racer TV a few moments ago. We saw that he is out of this one. Mikey Waynes is down there. What's going on, Mikey?
off to a decent start, running top 10, whatever, in XC2, and I ended up getting stuck. Front end just washed, hit a tree pretty hard, and I'm pretty sure I dislocated my thumb. So it sucks because I was just getting into the groove. I mean, I never rode the 250F before the start, and so things were clicking, and yeah, I would like to thank Jason for helping me. I kind of have a good taste of what to look forward to next year, and yeah, we'll be back ready for 2020.
Absolutely, man. Enjoy that championship season. I know this is a heartbreaker, but just a minor hiccup in what I believe is going to be a good career next year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm glad we got the championship locked up last race, and you know, Auntie and Ben and all the guys left yeah, like I said, it's a bummer to go out in the first 2 laps, and because I was really feeling good the second lap, you know, when I crashed. But you know, it's racing, and you know, we got 3 months to heal up, so you can count on me being a top runner in 2020.
There you go. Jesse Ansley, your XC3 champion. Tough break here today. Take it back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Mikey. And of course, here we sit now. And Jesse's going to watch the rest of this one, and hopefully, like we say, everything's going to be A-OK as he heads into the off season and looks forward to some big things for 2020 for himself. Quick scan of things. We checked in with some classes with everybody in with 1 lap just a little bit ago. Let's look into it a little deeper now with 2 laps complete. Last time we saw the XC3 125 Pro-Am class, it was 1 lap complete. It was actually Chase Colville back in the number 3 spot, and now Chase Colville has moved into the number 1 spot. Ben Wright, the 254 out of Gillette, Pennsylvania, running in that number 2 spot. Mike DeLosa, also from Gillette, PA, the number 70, is running in 3rd. Nathan Ferderer, who was 2nd, has dropped to a 4th place position aboard the the 484 machine, and then the 862 of Jake Froman, whom was also one of those front runners there in the very beginning, has dropped to the number 5 position. He's out of Linville, Indiana. Logan Kiddick, who was running a strong top 5, has now dropped to 6th out of Farmington. Jason Lipscomb out of Parkersburg, West Virginia, the 707. Nicholas Hunt is 8th. Joe Martian 9th, and Preston Weller rounds out your top 10. Of the 10, only Preston Weller. Oh, no, Weller just checked in. The last rider to check in, if you were at the finish line region, that was Weller that went through. He was 10th place in the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. That Open A class now 2 laps in down for Levi Keller and Joshua Lee, as we're seeing a 2-minute and 12-second gap between those riders. And here we are at the FMF PowerPoint. Is that our leaders, I believe, now starting to check in. Let's see if I saw some red number backgrounds. Let's see if that is the case. Now, leader's not due in for another 15 minutes. I just wanted to make sure. I saw we were looking at a finish line there, so wanted to see what was going on there. But as we look at this Open A class, Levi Keller, Joshua Lee, 2 minutes and 12 seconds separating the two, with Cole Kirkhoff, the 584 out of Monroe City, Indiana, another 22 seconds back. Nearly 2 minutes, and this is something out of the ordinary. Oftentimes we see Evan Earl up front or contending for a win in this Open A class on the 256 machine, but today he's back in a 4th place position. He's running 1 minute and 48 seconds back. Certainly got his work cut out for him, it appears. And Will Seibenpiper, the number 334 from Cumming, Georgia, rounds out your top 5. Those top 5 all in with 2 laps complete. The 258 class, Nathaniel Tosh is still leading after 2 out of Falmouth, Massachusetts, as we were talking about the New England Rippas of Tosh and Johnson now leading in the 258 class. There's 46 seconds that separate those two, but Ryder LeBlond only 2 seconds behind. It looks like Simon Johnson, Brody Johnson, the 235 in 4th, and Tyler Braniff rounding out your top 5. Mikey, sounds like you might have another word for us. Okay, I believe we heard you on TV, just couldn't hear you on the trackside there a few moments ago. But yeah, so 258 class really looking strong out here, and got some good battles, I think, still to wage. One rider to keep an eye on, in my opinion, will be Cole Whitmer, the 8th place ride, the 518 from Amity, Pennsylvania. He as I said, in that 8th place position, but for some reason, the name really sticking out today. Andrew Gross, 6:37 is 9th. Dalton Riddle back in the number 10 spot. As we get to the 200-day class, the 404 of Tanner P. Collins, TP Collins, out of Cooksville, Ohio, has an 11.5-second lead over Max Fernandez. The number 490 from Ottsville, Pennsylvania. The 424 of Dominic Morris from Newark Valley, New York, is third. 199 Zachary Davidson from Iron Station, North Carolina, whom was, I believe, leading or up front in this one earlier on, is back in the number 4 spot. We got Braden Nolette out of Charlton, Massachusetts in 5th. And that rounds out your top 5 of the 200A class. 4-stroke A lights class, Nick O'Brien, the 91 out of Chillicothe, Ohio. The first capital, by the way. The first and the third capital. And, of course, Travis Raynaud, the 130 out of Stratford, Missouri. Second place, 422 Ian Flynn out of Greensboro, Pennsylvania is third. Fourth is Alex Luger, the 303 from Orlando, Florida. And 1 minute and 26 seconds back. That's the biggest gap. Other than first and second, there's 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Then there's 4 seconds between Raynaud and Flynn. And then 1 second between Flynn and Luger. Then we see another minute and 26 seconds back to Johnny Manera, who rounds out the top 5 out of Millville, New Jersey. Joined in booth now by the one, the only Johnny G. Johnny Gallagher, man, I would say, buddy, what's wrong? Why you been crying? But I just heard that you've been trying to pry your eyes open. You took some mud to the eye yesterday, huh, I guess?
Yeah, those conditions yesterday were just absolutely brutal. I've never really ridden in anything like that. I mean, we had some stuff a few years back at one of the Kentucky races that kind of paralleled.
Mammoth, yeah.
But yeah, it was so wet. The rain kept coming down, and obviously we see the aftermath on the track today.
Yeah. Well, most of us do. I don't know how much you're seeing of.
Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna bide my time. And when you tell me that the leaders are on screen, I'm gonna try to open my eyes and watch and comment when I can. But I can tell you a lot about what's going on out there.
Yeah, Johnny.
I haven't been through it. I mean, I know that the action is shaping up fast and furious. I've been listening to you back at the camper. Turned all the lights off, kept it dark, and tried to keep my eyes closed to rest them up to try and help out here today. But it's treacherous out there, Rodney. You know, we got so much rain yesterday. This track was in such phenomenal shape when we pedaled it on Friday. The dirt was near perfect. In fact, a shade on the dry side, to be honest with you. And now it's just you know, when you get that much rain in that short of an amount of time, it just has nowhere to go, especially when the ground's as hard as it was here on Friday.
Yeah, so. and then we turned it in a little bit and mixed it up. I think that made that pudding out of it as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting consistency of racetrack out there. Haven't been out there this morning for the 10 a.m. race, or you know, this morning's a.m. race. It was there's parts of the track that are perfect. I mean, we see perfect dirt kicking up. You know, this place is known for its awesome topsoil and the how great the dirt is out here. And there's places where it's really shining through, but there's places where we're still just you know, need a hip deep in standing water from all the rain that came down yesterday.
Well, for the most part, Mother Nature's taking its course and drying up in a lot of areas. But as we pointed out, we mixed up some of the soil in some of the areas, so it's got some. But even that is starting to tack up. We seen dust. I literally seen dust kicking up in the pro pits.
I saw it this morning out even in the 10 a.m. race on a couple of the hill climbs. They chewed down, got some dry dirt, and they were kicking up dust.
When DQ jokingly said that to me earlier this morning, I laughed, said, yeah, right. I said, this is one day we're not going to see any dust. Boy, did I eat my words, and I'm satisfied with that.
You know, honestly, Rodney, there is a reason for you that when you mention it. The ground here was so hard when all that rain came down, and it came down so intensely. It wasn't over a course of, you know, days or weeks. It was all the rain came down in the course of, what, 12 hours?
Yeah.
So it really didn't get an opportunity to sink in. It just kind of sat on top and ran to the low points. So once you dig down through that top layer, you know, you're into dry dirt.
Dry, yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense, no doubt. And, wow, that's the beauty of it. I know a lot of riders probably saying, I don't want anything to do with this race course. Although there was a lot more that said that they did, about 700 more, I think. That was, you know, I have to think, Johnny, I have to wonder if we'd had perfect weather conditions, we'd have probably seen 1,000 riders in this morning's race. I mean,
yeah, I think it was 985 back in 2017 or 989, something like that, just shy of 1,000. Last year was, you know, mid 800s, and I think it was 700 something this year, which, considering the weather, I mean, you know, heck, it might have been 1,400, because I think there was that many people here that were planning on racing that didn't because of the conditions.
But, man, what a crowd. What a crowd. Craig Morgan last night, Davidson Brothers on Friday night. We did have to bump the Craig Morgan show up by about an hour and a half or so, but, man, the crowd still came out for it. There's no doubt several people, including myself, out enjoying the the show last night.
Hey, that's the beauty of the concert, man. I enjoyed it too. I was listening, couldn't see a thing. They could have been playing a CD up there for all I knew, but it was a great atmosphere. People were cheering, and it was a great time. What an awesome weekend! I mean, you know, this a weekend like this really shines through and shows you the tenacity and the love that these fans and racers alike have for GNCC racing. I mean, you dump 4 inches of rain in a 12-hour period, you flood the facility out, and they still show up in droves.
You know, looking at the pits, a lot of them are starting to thin out here this afternoon, with a lot of riders participating this morning and yesterday and so forth. But, wow, what a full-capacity crowd we had here at Ironman Raceway this weekend, Johnny. If you saw yesterday's aerial, well, couldn't see yesterday's, but if you saw Friday's aerial shots, and that was before it even got filled up. Yesterday was just amazing, the amount of people that were in here. It was like folks just kept coming all day long, and even into the night. At midnight last night, they were still coming in the gate.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. You know, I've often said if we could figure out a way to replicate what happens here in Crawfordsville, Indiana, every October and do it 13 times a year, you know, this would be bigger than NASCAR, and that's no joke.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think it makes it great that it isn't. You know, it's not a formula. You can't make it happen. It's happened so organically here at Ironman over the years that we've been going over these last 25 years. I mean, it's you know, it just goes to show. I mean, you put a great facility and a great hosting family like we have here with the Shavers in a great town that really embraces the event, and man, this is what happens.
Well, this is what happened last year, the AMSOIL recap, as we take a look at it. A lot drier conditions last year, even though I think we did have a little bit of mud and some maybe some moisture, but it didn't take long for it to turn into well, perfect conditions. And, you know, you can see by looking at the bike that there were some wet spots out there on that course a year ago. But all in all, man, look at this racetrack. Just a dream to go riding on.
Yeah, there's Stu Baylor. He was kind of up in the point position throughout much of this. But even though he was leading that XC1 class pretty much all day, he was actually at a disadvantage to that man right there, who is currently your leader. Last year, the 530 machine, Ben Kelly, out of that XC2 class, caught up to and was running with. There he is on the heels of Stu Baylor, but that's when the gremlins kicked in. Were they real? Were they imagined?
Yeah.
We'll never know.
The phantom wheel problem.
The phantom wheel problem. But there it is right there. Ben Kelly changing out that front wheel, standing there watching his hopes at a first ever overall win from the XC1, XC2 class go away while they changed that wheel. But he had bigger fish to fry that day, didn't he, Rodney?
Yes, he most certainly did. And, of course, trying to capture a championship with his teammate Josh Toth, as they took that one basically down to the wire last season, and Josh came out on top of that one. Ben came out on top of that one, but Josh went ahead and moved up to the XC2 class, and then Ben actually stuck around to defend that championship title, that #1 tie plate here in 2019, and boy, did he defend it.
He did, undefeated all the way through the season, but the man of the day, the man of the hour was this guy right here, and watch this finish line celebration, folks. He says, hey, check this out. Loop out Larry, sends it across the finish line, chucking the shockers right to the crowd. Stu Baylor is the everyman, and he said, hey, y'all, I just won Ironman.
Yes, he is. That's a great way to put it, the everyman. He is, you know, like we've said before, Stu's one of those guys, love him or hate him, man. He is certainly a personality in the sport of GNCC racing.
You know, Rodney, we've talked about this before, but as I get older, as I kind of get more confident in my own skin and start to realize that there's a need for everybody and everything in this world, you know, we need Stu Baylors. We need guys that are not afraid to shake it up, be themselves, be the showman a little bit, and kind of really kind of egg things on. We saw the trash talking, you know, last week. I mean, Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell in studio, in the booth at the end of that race, and they were just absolutely giving it to Stu, you know. And it was comical to watch. Unfortunately, a heartbreaker for him losing that one right literally in the last final miles of that race. But opening the door, and this is where I said I think it was kind of the universe paying him back, opening the door for Ben Kelly to take his first ever overall victory just 14 days ago at the Summit Reserve.
Which was the Mountaineer.
The Mountaineer.
At
correct,
the Summit Reserve, yes.
At Bechtel Summit Reserve.
Yeah.
So many names.
So many names. But, man, what a place, huh?
Oh, awesome facility. And I could see that event growing into something like this in the
Oh,
future.
yeah,
It could
easily.
be West Virginia's own version of the Ironman.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, we've already got snowshoe. I believe that could be a second premier event there in the great state of West. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. What a great facility, great race. I liked what the course. I didn't ride it, obviously, because I'm not a racer, but from what I could tell, what I saw, what I heard people talk, I really liked the terrain there at Summit Bechtel.
Yeah, it's definitely different, and I think we need variety. You know, as much as I love to come out here to good dirt and good tracks, which it really wasn't this weekend, but we're starting to see a little more of it. You know, it was great on Friday. As much as I like to see, you know, high-speed tracks that get rough and chewed up, and you know, it really kind of separates the men from the boys. You know, you do still need those gnarly technical tracks where it's all about throttle control and you know, just kind of bulldogging your way through gnarly rock sections. So, you know, it takes all kinds for GNCC, and the different tracks really, different riders shine on different tracks.
I agree. And, of course, as we look at this, I was watching this turnout here in this field. If you notice, people are pushing out wide on this one today. Some are hanging to the inside, but it's a lot moister, a lot wetter. So the track actually got pushed out wide, and those guys, I think, are utilizing speed, momentum, and just swinging them with a big big swinging turn there now, and doing the best they can under the circumstances and situation. But this is what I was talking about in some of those areas where the track got sloppy, it got nasty, and it's hard for it. And like Johnny said, there's nowhere for that water to go, so it's just going to lay there.
You know, Rodney, I've never seen anything like it out in those fields yesterday, where the corners normally get kind of chewed out. You see like a big bowl turn or a berm. It was actually filled up with water. So in full, like topped up to the top of the berm. So when you'd come in, you never really knew. I mean, you'd remember from lap to lap, but on the first lap, you never really knew how deep that water is. Is that 3 inches deep? Like right there, if you see, they just cut that camera shot. But if you see that little bowl turn there, that's about 4 foot deep. We were going into that, and it was coming up to the tanks, over the tanks on our quads yesterday. So, yeah, you know, you wanted some of that stuff. You had to take your time and tiptoe around the outside or whatever you needed to do, because you couldn't put the bike in there. You'd be drowning out.
Working on lap number 3, an hour and now 40 minutes into this race as we roll through the final race of 2019. Ben Kelly leading this one. Jordan Ashburn and Trevor Bollinger still doing battle for that second place position. Josh Toth back and forth. And wow, Jonathan Johnson, XC2 250 Pro Class leader, rounding out the top 5 overall right now. Craig DeLong in 6th, Andrew DeLong in 7th. And that is Ben Kelly that we're looking at on screen right now in that main dry line as he takes those big sweeping turns there. That's the moto track right there.
Yeah,
that's
so
the Indiana Horseshoes there,
He just checked in with the completion of lap number 3, so we'll see exactly what his speed is, because this is just after the finish line.
So Bollinger has secured second, and I wondered how that was going to work out. 26.5 seconds back now in the number 2 spot. He is. Lap time 31:40 for Ben Kelly. Trevor Bollinger a 31:49, and Jordan Ashburn, nor a 3rd place position, has not checked in yet.
So there is Bollinger on screen going through the rollers, so that gives you an idea of the gap.
Yeah, that's about 30 seconds, about a TV or radio commercial's worth.
Man, this track looks a whole lot better than it did yesterday.
It does. It really, really does. There is Ashburn finally in, nearly 40 seconds back. 39.2 seconds is what we're looking at for the Monster Energy Kawasaki rider there. Josh Toth should be checking in next. He was 13 seconds back. He is 8 seconds back. Now, he has seemed to have lost some time also because there was only 13 seconds that separate him. Jordan lost some 40 seconds or so off of Bollinger, so you would think that, hey, Josh would get the gimme on that one, but evidently whatever happened to Jordan, Josh may have experienced some of the same circumstances.
Well, definitely plenty of pitfalls out there, Rodney. I mean, it's there's no shortage of ways that you can lose time on this Ironman racetrack the way it is this weekend. I mean, it's every time you make a corner, you have a choice of anywhere from 5 to 500 lines. Picking the right one, you can make passes, you can gain time. Picking the wrong one, if you pick the wrong, I know wrong enough is not a word, but if you pick the absolute worst line, your day's over. Because the bike will be buried, you'll suck water, lock up the engine, and it's all over but the crime, baby.
No doubt. I saw a little bit of that yesterday. I know Walker Fowler experienced some problems, and for those of you tuning in, He's okay. Talked with him
He
last
is.
night.
Yep.
I know that we didn't really want to say a whole lot about what was going on, but basically what happened, it was an incident where he was trying to work on the machine. He crossed up the battery. It blew up on him in his face. He went to the medics as a precautionary measure. He had a lot of mud and dirt and other things in his eyes. Had his eyes washed out. He says nothing hurt, no problems. Just a little scary situation for a few moments.
No, he was texting last night. We had a big group chat going, and I had looks to be, that looks to be Lane Michael. Yes, it is one of the Husky riders there. So he is just now working his way through VP Fuels Pro Row. So a good ways back of our leaders, not currently running in the top 10 we see. Who we see? We've got some riders ripping some wheelies down VP Fuels Pro Row. They're saying, hey, I'm going to give me some RacerTV time. But, yeah, Walker's okay. He admitted, probably be a little not pumped to say this on RacerTV, but he made a judgment error, basically. And we run a 24-volt system on our machines, and to plug it back into 12-volt, he thought he may be having an issue with the secondary battery that makes it 24-volt. So there's basically a couple clips you can unplug and change to put it back to 12-volt. Well, instead of plugging the batteries back so that it was 12-volt, he accidentally plugged the positive into the negative, which essentially made the battery an unending circuit, and it blew up, is basically the best way to explain it.
That was operator error.
Yes, it was. And he apologized to Mark Notman for nearly burning the bike to the ground, because Mark's the one that's tasked with having to replace and repair things. So an unfortunate mix-up on his part, but ultimately, no harm, no foul. He was checked out and released, and all good to go.
Yeah, and he already had the championship wrapped up. But how about it for Hunter Hart, the rookie getting the win yesterday? That's pretty impressive stuff. Joking around about it, and you always think about it, what if, and we were like kind of joking around yesterday. He said this was 10 years ago, it's the first time I ever got a podium, and it was right here at Ironman, and it would be great if I could get a podium here 10 years later. Bam! He gets a win like that, and I was like really just blown away, and just really happy for the youngster. So it's been a great
Hats
weekend.
Off to him, and I tell you what, Rodney, he won that race based on his pre-race preparation.
Yeah.
If you go back to races in the past, we all learn things, but sometimes we forget. And I can tell you, Hunter was the only one out there on lap 1 and lap 2. I mean, we were all together for quite some time, and he was the only one. He was stopping every 4 miles and getting new goggles. Everybody else was trying to push him one whole lap. They wouldn't last. We'd end up having to pitch him, ride without goggles. Our eyes were getting messed. You see the results. Hunter was stopping every 4 miles. He had people stationed out on the track with goggles. It won him the race, plain and simple.
There you go.
I mean, he rode well. But,
Yeah.
That was the difference.
Yeah, I mean, a combination of the two definitely brought him up there. And wow, what a way to end your rookie season.
Yeah,
especially, I mean, we talked about it, and I talked about it with a few other people. It's kind of surprised that I hadn't seen him maybe be a little bit more of a threat for some podium spots at least a few times throughout the season. But man, whenever he answers back on that question, he came back with a home run, a grand slam on that one, a big win. So again, congratulations to Hunter Hart, rookie ATV XC1 racer, taking his first win yesterday. Back here at Ironman on a Sunday, beautiful blue skies, not a cloud up there. I don't even think I see a chemtrail up there right now, Johnny. You don't have to worry about looking up, but it's that beautiful, it's that clear. It sets a beautiful fall day. What leaves are left here, the beautiful reds and yellows and browns, there's still a lot of green with the fall foliage that we are, picturesque and just heaven on earth as far as I'm concerned. I know we call West Virginia almost heaven, but this is another one of those places. When you get conditions and beautiful blue skies and the landscape to look like it does right now, that's heavenly to me.
Absolutely. Great facility here, and absolutely a great just a whole great weekend all across the board, great facility. And, there's been some feedback on social media. Everybody says whenever we go to those West Virginia rounds, especially snowshoe, we hear country roads take me home a million times. They want to hear Ironman more often.
And I've got a legitimate answer for that, as we're going to watch some stuff here online here. This is
This is Ironman Hill.
Yes.
Yep. This is the famed Ironman Hill, and this is our specialized rapid replay. Ben Kelly on screen, taking it right up the middle of the toughest part of the hill and making it look easy. Their feet never came off the pegs. Here comes the second place rider, and that looked to be, at the time, Jordan Ashburn. That is the 127. No, that was Bollinger.
Yeah, that is Bollinger up there now. Huh?
So I don't know if that was this. That must have been, or no, if that could have been this lap, he may have closed the gap up that much. But I don't think they've made it that far into the lap yet.
No.
So that is most likely last lap on lap number 3. Yep. Our producer confirming that was last lap. And there is Jordan Ashburn. So the top 3 as they ran, there it was Kelly, Bollinger, and Jordan Ashburn all right up the hill on our rapid replay from Specialized out at Ironman Hill. And the crowds, for those of you, remembering the massive crowds that used to be out there, here we can see some amateur riders not having nearly as much ease getting up there, sliding down. He's keeping that machine on its side, because if you stand it up and it starts to take off, it's got a mind of its own, and it's going to go, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Years ago, here we see Josh Toth, 4th place rider, also looking like he's going to take that same line. A little bit of dog paddle, lost quite a bit of momentum, but still easily grabbing a handful of that KTM 350, getting himself to the top there and making it over the top of the famed Ironman hill climb.
Wow. Yeah, definitely a far cry different. You guys didn't get to race it yesterday. Lasagna and meatloaf, man. Have your thanks to Nick Rupert again, man. He's Johnny on the spot when it comes to that stuff.
Absolutely love it.
So here we go, back out here. What was I talking about? Someone had asked me a question.
I had asked you about playing Ironman song, and you said you had a good answer for that.
Yeah, and I'm from West Virginia. Country Roads definitely I like, but I also know that Country Roads is a song that kind of grates on people's nerves a little bit. So when they hear it, they're like, oh man, not that again. So I beat that like a dead horse, because obviously, it's the irony of it all.
Sure.
And we are in West Virginia at Snowshoe. I did it at Snowshoe, not so much in Beckley.
Yep.
Ironman, I have so much respect for that song that I don't want to beat it like that. I don't want people to say when they hear dun dun. I don't want them to say, oh no.
That was some Indiana people that were talking about it on social media. They felt like they want to have that signature song, so they were actually looking at it as a good thing. But I agree with you. I'll be honest. When Country Roads comes on, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. The first time we hear it at Snowshoe, I'm like, okay. The second time, I'm like, all right. By the 13th time we hear it that day, I'm like, man, I'm going to go over there and cut the wires on those speakers.
I think somebody's done that in the past.
I would never. That's just a joke. I have too much respect for other people's property. But
Fred Andrews was bad about that back in the day.
I have Adam McGill and I may have our differences on a lot of things, but I saw him earlier this year. One of the speakers in the pro pits was just, it was. There was a volume knob that goes from 1 to 10. Well, somebody spun this one twice, had it on 20, and then broke the knob off so you couldn't turn it down. It was the loudest thing I've ever heard.
I turn it towards his pits in the morning sometimes.
7:45 in the morning, and it was just absolutely blaring. We were on our way to the U-Start. I was walking behind him, and he just didn't even know I was behind him. We were walking. Mid-stride, never broke stride, reached over one-handed, unplugged the speaker, and just kept walking.
Awesome. And sometimes I have, those speakers, man, we set them on Friday and they're good, and then Saturday morning something wiry happens to them. Here's our track map here on this Sunday. As you can see, we have it was nearly 13 miles whenever it was originally laid out. I think we're somewhere close to that still today, Johnny, in the grand scheme of things. But as we take a look at our live track map, this is something that we're going to have the opportunity to utilize a little more in the future. You see right now Ben Kelly out down at the bottom of the and of course, as we watch right here, you see they're going through a few different sections, but where you see the arrow on the screen, the cursor, that is where our next camera shot is going to be, and that is at the the Monster Mile, that 5 mile marker. Yes, the Monster Mile at the 5 mile marker. So we're working our way there. Ben Kelly still leading, and Ashburn still back in the number 3 spot, it looks like. Not saying, I think we're still some 40 seconds or so back to Ashburn. Bollinger still in the number 2 spot, about 26 seconds or 30 seconds now behind Ben Kelly. Ben really seems to be having some things dialed in. 31:40 last time around, like we said, and 31:49 for Bollinger. 9 seconds difference on those guys. 26.5 seconds separating them as we roll through lap number 4. I think this is a 5-lap race, Johnny, so we'll have one more lap after this. This could get kind of interesting here down to the wire. Ben Kelly Don't want to say he's a seasoned veteran, but man, he certainly is riding like one, having only one overall XC1 win, and overall win to his credit. He seems to, I mean, even when he stepped up into the XC1 class, he almost raced like it wasn't a rookie racing. I mean, he was a seasoned veteran when he jumped into that class, it seemed like.
You know, Ben's a pretty calm guy, and I think he felt like he was pretty well prepared. I'm sure there were some nerves. You know, it's kind of overwhelming your first race to be up there actually physically getting introduced with the XC1 riders. You know, lining up against guys that, heck, for Ben, just 3 years ago, they were guys he had 4 years ago. He had only ever read about in magazines. Had never even seen them in person. So, you know, it's I'm sure it's a little bit of a shock to the system, but he's adapted well. He's got great people around him. His family, you know, his mom and dad are at all the races. They keep him grounded. He's got great guidance from that FMF Red Bull KTM team, and those guys, you know, keep him grounded. Mechanic Dirty Mike keeps him on the ball and lets him know Mike Hall. Oh, there is Trevor Bollinger on screen. So I think we may have missed Ben Kelly if he came through, or I didn't have my eyes open.
You probably had your eyes closed right there. Ben's still out front there, it looks like, Johnny. So we're still rolling there pretty solidly there. Kelly and Bollinger, like I said, there's about 30 seconds that separate those two. But man, Trevor looking so fluid through these woods right now. I mean, he didn't look like there was any sense of urgency. That looked like just a good flow and a good ride going on right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, as far as sense of urgency, I actually think if I were Trevor Bollinger, there should be a little bit of sense of urgency. He does not want to let Ben Kelly out of his sight.
Right.
You know, he's 30 seconds back, or give or take, I think 26 seconds is what it was when we last knew. You know, that is, to that point, you know, Ben Kelly is out of most of the rough sections, or should I say the difficult sections, when Trevor comes in. So he can't see the lines he's taken. He can't see, you know, where he's pushing and where he's not. He needs to get closer and get up onto the rear wheel. I believe that was Jordan Ashburn that just went by, and that looked like Josh Toth right on Ashburn's rear wheel.
That's possible, because last time we saw him, there was only 8 seconds that separated the two. Stu Baylor should be coming up here pretty soon, too. He was only about 7 seconds behind them.
Yeah, I don't see Baylor yet, but that was definitely Ashburn and Toth, and that is not Stu Baylor there. So it looks like our things are heating up over that final podium spot battle right now with Jordan Ashburn, Josh Toth pretty much wheel to wheel there at the Monster Mile.
Big question I have, Ricky Russell, I believe he started out in this one, was running second in the early part of the race, if I'm not mistaken. He's dropped back to 11th place as far as the overall is concerned. I think grand scheme of things in the class right now, that would put him in the 8th place position in class, and that means he drops from 2nd to 6th in class, 2nd to 11th in the overall. You have to wonder what would have made such a big issue that would slow him down that much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this looks to be one of the Baylor boys right here. Don't know if this is Stu. That is actually Grant Baylor by the riding style.
And Grant was behind Stu by about 11 seconds last time, so it looks like both of them must have got caught up into something, because there's a big gap.
There is Stu right there. That is Stu right behind him.
Big gap between them and 4th place position, Josh Toth now. So, oh, that's what it is. I was looking. That was 1 minute and 7 seconds. It wasn't 7 seconds. It was 1 minute and 7 seconds. That makes a little more sense.
That makes far more sense.
I missed the one out there.
No need for alarm there, the T-League pitch. Your boys are still together. Grant has made the pass on Stu. And Grant, you know, a rider that really had a great race at our last round, kind of overshadowed by Ben Kelly's first win, but Grant Baylor coming home in that 2nd place spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. A lot did happen there in West Virginia, and big strides were made for some riders. Like you said, for Baylor there to be able to do that, that's huge and good news for him. And you know, it's just too bad that these guys put it all together toward the end of the season like that.
Well, you know, for Grant, it's really been a kind of a recovery season. After that early season surgery, he had surgery in the off season, missed the first several races. Sorry, I didn't mean to kick you there. Missed the first several races, and then it's been a building season for him. You know, and the thing, you know, a lot of people think, well, Grant's been an XC1 a long time. You know, I don't even know if he's 21 years old yet.
Right.
You know, he's so young. I mean, he may be 21, 22, somewhere there. Yeah. But, you know, he still has a long career ahead of him. So to take the time to, you know, get himself fixed up, that was definitely a good call on his part. That looks to possibly be the leaders of our XC2 class, because that looked to be Craig Delong. There is Ricky Russell on screen. And that may have been Jonathan Johnson right there in front of him. Liam Draper might have been in there as well. Hard to say. Oh, there's Draper right there, right on cue. He comes charging through the shot there at the Monster Mile.
So that still puts them in that number 3 spot then, if that's going that way. So
But Delong got around him.
Yeah, that's the change that we're seeing there, it looks like. So good news there for him. And again, right now, as we look at this, we're about 13 minutes, and I call it 14 minutes now out from. And we got a.
As they work their way through at the Monster.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
It didn't look like Strang's riding style, but it was a Kawasaki.
Right, and I think he had a Camelback on too, so that's what kind of threw me on that one too. So good news, man. This is some good racing going on. I mean, they get, a lot of the riders are getting mixed up together in some of these other classes and stuff, but this is a really good race today.
Let's talk about Jonathan Johnson.
Yes.
Here's a rider that really made some waves from that 250A class.
Yes, that's where I knew him from.
He got a lot of amateur overalls.
But here's the thing, I remember him so vividly from that class, and then for some reason seeing him do so well today, it seemed like, wow, is he always been in this class? I go back, I look at the results. He's had some good, strong top 10 finishes so far in the XC2 250 Pro class. He's only had one top 5 finish in that class, so he's never really made any waves. Right. But boy, today he let it loose.
Absolutely, and he did run that XC2 class last year, had a full support ride from that Pro Yamaha team, and it just didn't pan out for him. He didn't have a great season. I don't know that he had many top 10s. We got a fan cam. These guys they're sending us in some cell phone footage from out at Ironman Hill, trying to pick out possibly some of the leaders coming through. Rodney, remember back in the day, this used to be just absolute chaos down here. Literally tens of thousands of people, and now we kind of had to scale things back, make it safer for the crowds. So everybody's up on top, watching down. This is one of our leaders here. That is Ben Kelly right there. I can tell by the fanny pack water pack. So the 530 machine up on our Ironman Hill fan cam.
Fan cam. So about 30 seconds now. We'll try to watch here. I think when Ben went up, it was like at an hour, or the race clock said on the TV 1 hour and 5 minutes, but I think that's 2 hours and 5 minutes we're looking, or 5 seconds. So I expect that 2 hours and 35 seconds we'll probably be seeing. Should be expecting to see
Trevor Bollinger
check in, our second place ride here. And
I'm going to turn this over to you. This is hurting my eyes.
Okay. Well, as we approach it, there was the 35 mark, and there's the 40 mark now. And I can't tell. I don't think that was Bollinger. There was a white bike. That was.
No, that's him coming up here.
Okay, there he is. Nope, that's not him
Still
either.
Not.
Wow. So we're looking at 50 seconds now.
There he is. That's
there he
Bollinger.
is. And at 57 seconds down now.
That was not Bollinger.
It wasn't.
I'm pretty sure that was
Maybe
Jordan
we missed
Ashburn.
him.
No, I think it was Ashburn.
Well, maybe he was one of those other riders that came through there. I mean, it is a little tough to see on the fan cam, but getting a pretty good. But yeah, apologizing. But again, coming from a cell phone through FaceTime, a fan on Ironman Hill, having some technical difficulties with the storms and the winds and everything. Had fiber optic cables all ran down to Ironman Hill. Had a crystal clear picture, and then, well, Mother Nature did its damage. So, and yesterday we didn't even get a chance to run Ironman Hill, so we didn't get a chance to utilize it. But we certainly thank our fans on Ironman Hill for sending in the footage, no doubt. So, wow. So maybe Bollinger is, maybe we were right at first when we thought that was Bollinger that went up a few moments ago, and Jordan Ashburn coming through. That seems about right to be about that 40-second mark behind him still. So we're going to go with the idea Kelly, Bollinger, and Ashburn, 1, 2, and 3 Toth back in that number 4 spot still. And again, not 7 seconds separate, but a minute and 7 seconds, more like a minute and 17 seconds now separating from back 4th to 5th place position of Stu Baylor and, well, Grant Baylor, then Stu Baylor.
Grant, yep.
So a few changes going on there. You know, you got to wonder about those two, the brothers. Obviously, right now they're probably just riding together. One of them wants to let the faster one, whoever's got the smoother things going on today, wants to hook up with him and maybe push each other to the front. But what would it be like if they did get to the front and then all of a sudden it came down to a scrap out for the win or even for a final podium position up there? I mean,
you ever go to the local fairgrounds to see a demo derby?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
And I don't think they would hold anything back on each other.
No, they would be hitting each other harder and diving it in. You know, nothing dirty, but as aggressive could be.
Oh, you know, and you know they've done that growing up as kids too, man. So
Yeah,
it's not nothing. It's not probably anything out of the ordinary for those two for sure. It's awesome to be able to see brothers competing at this level, though. It's been a few years since we had that. I think we've seen it with the Laffertys at one point. That's been, gosh, well over 10 years ago now, I think. And so it's been a while since we've had that. The DeLongs, obviously, we've had them running together. So it's really neat when we get the opportunity to see brothers that both excel in the same sport and come out and ride together like this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's they get along well. You know, they've grown up together and kind of beat on each other and pushed each other, and it made them both better riders.
Oh yeah, all around, and help bring them to the levels that they're at, no doubt about that. As we are again working on lap number 4, folks. We're about 8 minutes out from what I believe is going to be the white flag. So that would put us, if we'll say about 2:15, another 40 minutes. Yeah, that's going to put us right at that 3-hour mark again. Wow, very good call on the part of timing and scoring. They do a great job of that. I know yesterday we were like, well, we're going to cut the race to an hour and a half for the ATVs, but you were having 40-some minute lap time, so you guys still went an hour and 53 minutes, 54 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah, I was a little over 2 hours for to complete 3 laps, and it was. Oh, there we go. Yep. So those guys are climbing their way up. This is the backside of the
Twin Hills.
The Twin Hills. Just coming back up to the top section where the Ironman Moto track is. Actually, this particular hillside right here, if you come about 200 yards further down, is Godzilla on the motocross track. But here in the woods, we call it the Twin Hills.
There you go. And I'll tell you, Twin Hills, Godzilla, they all offer their own challenges. I know I stood at the top of Godzilla on Friday when we were shooting the opener, and I looked down and I was like, oh my gosh, and I said, I can't believe, and I said, I know those guys ride up that, and I said, no, then a dozer operator gets on this thing and actually smooths this racetrack out. But it was pretty neat. The kids were riding bicycles down it, and this is what I want to do. My plan is to come back with the snow on and go sledding. I want to go down Godzilla on a bobsled.
I'll tell you what, you're a better man than I, because I would not do that. That is way too steep and way too sketchy.
See, the way I think about it is I think I could hit the rollers at the bottom of the hill and double into them.
I think you quadruple all the way through.
Is this our leaders, maybe?
I don't think that's Ben Kelly with one eye. Doesn't look like his riding
But there's
style.
a good battle going on here for whatever position and whatever class we're looking at right now as we take a look at things from our high above with our Yamaha live drone, and we've got a lot of those great battles and fights going out on the racetrack. Even though they may not be at the front of the track or the front of the pack or in the premier classes, that's the beauty of GNCC. There's battles all the way through this entire 250 man field plus, or nearly 300 riders out there, I guess, today.
Rodney, we just saw as they were splashing the results across the screen there down the left-hand side. In the XC2 class, actually, Liam Draper was leading at the completion of lap number 3, and from there, which obviously would have been at the finish line, over to that Monster Mile at the 5 mile marker, he'd drop back to third. So he was momentarily, at least when they checked in, he was leading XC2, followed closely by Craig DeLong, and Jonathan Johnson was back in third. So that's even more of a statement that when we saw him in the Monster Mile, he was leading again. So that means he has gotten back around both DeLong and Draper, who I think you would consider a little bit more established in terms of their results in that class. So again, we were talking about him a moment ago. He was a rider that you know, really had some standout rides in that 258 class, had quite a few amateur overalls, was on the amateur overall podium more than not. He was kind of, you know, a lot of people thought maybe the next big thing. Came into XC2 that first year, just never seemed to mesh well with the class. Maybe it was, you know, don't really know what the issue was. Just didn't have the results, and his overalls were not even nearly as good as they had been the year prior from the A class. So it was like struggling this year. I don't know if it was a mutual parting of ways or how it turned out, but he went out, did kind of a privateer program out of Kawasaki. He's out there doing that, and it's really been kind of a building year for him. You know, no remarkable results, like you said, a few top 10s here and there. I think you said maybe one top 5, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely not a rider that we've seen up battling for podium positions. So this deep into the race, there is Ben Kelly on screen, coming out of the FMF KTM Pro pits there through VP Fuels Pro Row. He is still leading, and we'll be seeing him pop out here at the 11 mile marker in just about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
but yeah, Johnson, you know, for him to do what he's doing today, this is a whole new level for him, and could be a sign of, as you like to say, things to come.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, you see glimpses, man. I mean, and I pick up on some of that stuff, and sometimes that's just exactly what it is. It's just a flash. You know, they had a moment of brilliance, but whenever you start seeing a flash here and a flash there, those moments all of a sudden start to build to be something a lot stronger.
Trevor Bollinger in, getting some fresh paper towels on his grips. Now we flash ahead to the 11 mile marker. Ben Kelly, Rev, checking a lapper, saying, hey, buddy, you need to get out of the way because I'm coming through trying to go get my second ever overall win. He'll be coming through, and I believe we will see a white flag waving here in a matter of just a few moments. Look at this. Interesting line.
That
way
is,
outside. Checks
wow.
out, cuts across the inside, running a very different line through there, and trying to get out and find some good dirt.
Well, straight line, I guess, is the best way, and trying to stay out of that deep stuff.
That wasn't so straight.
No, I think he thought about it, and then he saw that big lake there and said, oh, we got to go around, So working our way toward the finish line here, we should be about 2 minutes out from the Amsoil chicanes, where we'll see the final and closing moments up to that point. And I think we will be seeing a white flag whenever we come around that time. We are approaching the 2 hour and 10 minute mark into this race right now, and just looking at this field right here, you know, look at the lines. I mean, you know, under normal circumstances, you know, there's double arrows and you got to go here and you got to go there, but it's just basically, guys, just get through these fields. That's what it was like this morning. And the track went from, say, 25 to 30 feet wide to 200 to 300 feet wide in some places.
There is Trevor Bollinger on screen. We see that high-vis USW drink pack on his back there. And the next rider we'll be looking for is the 127 of Jordan Ashburn. And as they should be checking in here probably in under a minute in the scoring chicane. Lucas Grounds leading that 200B class. That is one of our amateurs of the week here.
Yeah, Lucas, I remember, man, Lucas from like way back when he was a kid. If I'm not mistaken, he used to be like a little Holeshot expert from back whenever he was
to run one of those little Cobras in the micro races.
Yeah, and he was certainly a threat to be reckoned with. He's brought himself through the ranks, and we've seen so many of the riders do that as well, and it's good to see that Lucas is able to do that and then excel at the level that he is excelling at.
Here's our Yamaha Live drone shot, and there is Jordan Ashburn. You see him, he's just kind of leaning back and pinning it, and I don't think any race would be complete without saying it. Jordan likes the mud. So, you know,
Jordan likes the rocks.
Jordan has been chasing a podium all year, has had it snatched away as we switch over. Yamaha Live drone footage. Ben Kelly on the Ironman MX track, hidden through that rhythm section. He's going to bang a left here, and he's got 3 more turns until he will see it, Rodney. A white flag waving. And potentially one more lap separating him from win number 2 of his career. Noteworthy, second in a row. Noteworthy also, only his 3rd ever XC1 race. I did not see a white flag, did you?
No, I didn't. But I'm going to do some math here. Let's see here. Lap time that time around. Wow, 31:36. So if we go
That would be 2 hours and 42 minutes.
Yeah, that should still be close enough. I think that they've opened that window up to now a 20-minute window in that 3-hour race, believe it or not. So that should put us within the window that I understand.
Maybe we missed. It's possible it was Raven. I'm blind and you're old, so.
That's true.
We'll see here in a minute. There is Trevor Bollinger. Did you see a white flag that time?
I didn't notice it. Did not notice it. By the way, speaking of old, did you hear your new name that DQ gave you on the bottleneck the other night?
I did. DQ, you've got one coming, buddy. Johnny Geritol. Trevor Bollinger on screen, hammer down, and man, the choices of lines, you know, once you commit, they're so deep and so long, it's like you're kind of in that slot car track. Trevor Bollinger in pursuit, trying to track down the 530 KTM of Ben Kelly, and right now, he is, how far back, Rodney?
41.8 seconds. We'll call it 42 seconds separating Kelly and Bollinger.
26 seconds last lap, 42 seconds this lap. He's able to stretch it out another 16 seconds.
Yep,
exactly. And Kelly just seems to be slowly inching away from him, Rodney.
That's the case, and Jordan Ashburn still watching these guys slowly inch away from him as well from back in the number 3 spot. But again, you know, last time around, he was needing to keep an eye on what was going on behind him. One thing that I've noticed that we haven't spoke a lot about and haven't said, there's Josh Toth. A lot during this lap, we've said Ben Kelly, we've said Trevor Bollinger, Jordan Ashburn, but have we been missing Josh Toth, the number 206? Maybe he might have gotten around Ashburn for that number 3 position.
There's Ashburn checking in right there.
And Ashburn does have 3rd place.
I still do not see a white flag. I think they're going to run this a 6-lap race.
Wow, that'll put us about 3 hours and 10 minutes or so into it. What a way to really put them to it in the final race.
Test these guys out.
That's it.
You're about to get a couple months off, so we're going to go ahead and put you right to the coals for this last race.
No doubt.
There is Josh Toth now checking in.
Yep, he was 8 seconds behind, now 19 seconds behind. Ashburn is 1 minute and 16 seconds behind Trevor Bollinger now. So the field is really starting to open up quite a bit out there. Not seeing any, and really haven't seen any close wheel-to-wheel action in that top 5, I think, since about halfway through the 2nd lap.
And look at this. We know this is dangerous, Rodney. What happens late in 3-hour GNCC races? The Baylors start going faster. The boys are on the hunt, and look at how much time they have made up on Josh Toth.
Oh, my gosh. They were 1 minute and 7 seconds behind at the end of the last lap. Johnny Gallagher, they are 14.8 seconds. 15 seconds basically is what we're seeing right now, so almost a whole minute. We'll call it 50-some seconds made up right there.
And that puts them only 30 seconds out of 3rd.
Wow. Grant Baylor, that is in that 5th place position. Stu Baylor is only 5 seconds behind him. Lap times 31:16 for Grant Baylor. That is the exact identical lap time of Ben Kelly, other than he was 0.3 of a second faster. It was 0.8 for Ben Kelly, 0.5 back in the mix of all that for Grant Baylor.
We see this all the time, Rodney. They just get faster. They got those reserves, man. It's the McDonald's, it's the 5-hour energy drinks, you know, it's the Red Bull, it's all that. It's coming to fruition.
The ice cream cones.
The ice cream cones. Okay, 5-lap race. So we are seeing a white flag that we are not seeing. Again, we apologize, folks. I'm a one-eyed blind man.
And I'm old.
and Rodney is seasoned.
I like the way you put that, seasoned.
It's
like a big piece of firewood.
Like a big piece of firewood or a well-made steak.
There you go.
Seasoned.
Yeah, I'm seasoned.
Yeah, it's absolutely, I do see Ricky there now with that white flag, but wow, the Baylor boys are on the charge, folks. Somebody told the boys that it was hunting season, and the Baylor boys are hunting them a podium.
Well, right now, you look at the big picture, they are 1 minute and 4 seconds faster than Josh Toth. So let's look and see how much faster they are than Jordan Ashburn. Ashburn turned a 32.09. And he is 19, call it 20 seconds ahead of Josh Toth. So in that minute, that 50-some, let's see, all right, so the lap time was 1 minute and 4 seconds faster. So he gets around, and he should get around Grant. That should also score him getting around Josh Toth in theory. And with that 19 seconds, he should be able to pull up and knock on the door of Jordan Ashburn. If Jordan doesn't pick the pace up, and if Grant Baylor remains at this pace, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Grant should be knocking on the door of that third place position, if not making the pass in the third place by the time we get around to the checker flag.
I agree, and I'll tell you what, I think he's going to even, once he can see those guys, he's going to close the gap that much faster. I think when we see those guys at the 5-mile mark at the Monster Mile, what we're going to see is a freight train. We're going to see at least 3 riders, if not 4, battling over that final podium spot. Grant Baylor, potentially Stu Baylor, Josh Toth, and Jordan Ashburn, all these guys badly wanting to be on the podium, badly wanting a little bit of extra, oomph going into the offseason, and they are going to lay it on the line.
And I don't think any one of them, I think every one of them could use that little extra oomph. Nothing that they've had bad seasons, but that little extra oomph for anyone is good to take into the offseason. I mean, not the offseason. It's let's see, we got, what is it? It's October, so we got November, December, January, and basically, so 4-month off season, and man, those 4 months, they seem like they're so long from this particular standpoint, but wow, how quickly they go by, huh?
Absolutely. They'll go flying by, and before you know it, these guys will be back racing. We do already know that some of those guys will be back on different machines and different teams. Some of those guys still looking to finalize their plans. I know Grant Baylor, I don't believe he has officially announced where he's headed.
Not yet,
He's still got a few things. Stu Baylor has his deal all buttoned up. He's waiting to tell us, I guess. He's going to let everybody know at the appropriate time. But then you've got, I believe Jordan Ashburn has another year on that Kawasaki contract, if I'm not mistaken.
Both Jordan and Josh are very satisfied and secure going into 2020 from Kawasaki.
So that being said, the rider that I think of those 4, I'm not saying that they don't all want it. They all want it. They all need it. They all want that little oomph going into the offseason. Jordan Ashburn needs to make this podium stick.
Yeah.
He's had so many snatched from the grasp of him tasting the podium this year. This first year on this team, Josh Strang was able to get a podium. Jordan Ashburn, in my opinion, has been a top 3 to top 5 rider all season, every race, and has not been able to make it stick. Some through, mistakes or whatever it may be, some stuff completely out of his control. Jordan Ashburn, if you can hear me out there, I'm screaming, so out on the track you can hear me. Buddy, you got to make it stick. Today's the day. You can't let those Baylor boys catch you, and you can't let Josh Toth get around.
I'll tell you, Johnny, you talk a lot about this year and everything and the many things that's happened for Jordan and different riders, but you know what? We've had a whale of a year, a big year here in GNCC Racing, and we've got our top 5 moments of GNCC that we've pulled together for you and put together a nice little video presentation. And here are our top 5 moments so far anyway from 2019. Moment number 5, Ricky Russell leads at Black Sky, and that of course coming off of that preseason injury and then working his way back in methodically into physical health, and of course almost winning the Black Sky GNCC. It kind of set a standard and put a taste in his mouth to make him hungry for more podiums and possibly more wins. Moment number 4 in our top 5 moments of 2019, Stu Baylor winning the opener at Wild Boar GNCC. As always, Stu Baylor, a wild card coming into any race, and especially to the beginning of the season, not knowing what to expect out of this rider. Total domination at the opening round, and a lot of folks were in hopes and searching and looking for Stu to be a real big force this year, which he had the opportunity to be at a few times, but injuries, mechanicals, things like that, as always, take its toll on a rider. Moment number 3, Thad Duvall taking 4 overall wins in 2019. And as we take a look at those, I think his most recent win came just at the Mason-Dixon GNCC. He won at John Penton GNCC. And he also won at, let's see, it was Steel Creek GNCC. So those were 3 of those 4 wins that he was able to pick up, and did it in convincing fashion each and every time. Man, the guy is on point. Ben Kelly, he is number 2. Ben Kelly taking his first career win at the Mountaineer GNCC, and of course doing that in a fashion that no one has ever done it, and only his second outing as an XC1 class rider, graduate straight from the XC2 class. Way to go, Ben Kelly. Big moment number 2. And the biggest moment of 2019 as far as our top moments in GNCC include, well, the And this was the latest championship number 7 for Caleb Russell, winning 7 times. You know, it was an amazing feat. And Rodney Smith came out from California. Scott Summers came in from Kentucky. And, of course, all brought it together for you and was real congratulatory. But now here we are. Caleb Russell has won 7 national championships as he paves the road to being one of, if not the greatest GNCC racer of all times. Well, folks, we are live at Ironman Raceway. We still don't know who's going to win this one, and we still don't know whether Grant Baylor's going to be able to catch Josh Toth and Jordan Ashburn. Stick around with us to find out what's going to happen on GNCC Live.
When my son started traveling out on the racing circuit, we couldn't afford to be unprepared. His first crash sent him to the hospital a long way from home. He was alone and hurting. I couldn't miss work, and his mother needed to be with his younger brother. Fortunately, our Fly You Home membership meant that once his condition was stable, he could be flown home to a local hospital to finish his recovery. The Fly You Home team took care of everything, and we never saw a bill. Consistent clutch fuel is vital to effective starts or to confidently maneuver around obstacles on the trail. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil was subjected to an extreme simulated start test. After 32 simulated race starts, AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil continued to deliver consistent clutch feel, and the clutch plates remained clean with no visible wear. The competitor's oil, however, allowed discoloration and significant wear after just 16 starts. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Give your bike the protection it needs.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Chematic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Chematic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Chematic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Chematic. Chematic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tom along with Johnny Gallagher and Mikey Waynes. Don't forget to catch GNCC on the NBC Sports Network. And, of course, with that, we are back here at Ironman in Crawfordsville, Indiana. Beautiful, sunshiny day, blue skies. Couldn't ask for better conditions weather-wise in that department. Track conditions really coming around after lots of rain yesterday. And, of course, we are in the closing moments of this final race of 2019. A leader due in about 17 minutes or so. Ben Kelly looking for his second ever overall victory and doing it in as only 3 races as an XC1 Pro Class rider. Trevor Bollinger still in second, Jordan Ashburn in third, Josh Toth fourth, Grant Baylor and Stu Baylor on the move from 5th and 6th right now. Andrew DeLong running in 7th. 8th place is Josh Strang, Ricky Russell in 9th. Lane Michael rounds out your top 10 in the XC1 Pro Class. As we look at the XC2, Craig DeLong, Liam Draper made that switch back around, about 20 seconds separated him. Jonathan Johnson in that number 3 spot. Evan Smith in 4th, and Austin Lee rounding out the top 5. Then James Scott in 6th. 7th is Sam Evans. 8th, Heath Harrison. Ninth is Alex Teagarden. Wait a minute, Howie's dad, I'm sorry. And Dylan Yearberry, the number 270, rounded out your top 10. And one thing that I wanted to talk about, Johnny, there's one of your really good friends that is racing here today. He came in, I think earlier this year, we might have saw him racing in the Vet A class or something like that. And he said, well, that just wasn't really the right thing to do. I think that was at the season opener down in Florida. But anyway, he's out here, and I understand that we've got a little bit of wagering going on, something about a top 20, and then there's a side bet about Jesse Ansley going on there, huh?
Yeah, well, the side bet's all on him. I don't know that I have anything to do with that. I think that might be with Mike Hall, Jesse's former mechanic now, Ben Kelly's mechanic. But I had a bet going with Bach that he was not going to be in the top 20 overall. I see he is currently sitting in 17th. Now, to be fair, I did think he was riding Vet A. He did sign up for XC1, which puts him a little further ahead. But if he finishes top 20, I'll give him a pat on the back. But I'm not paying up on the bet. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. He lived on my couch. He stayed in my hotel rooms. He ate all my food from 2012 through 2014 when he didn't have a ride and he didn't have any money. We've added it up. He owes me, by his own admission, about 80 grand. So the $100 bet that we had, that's going to come off his tab if he wins it, if he can hang on. But that's pretty impressive coming off the couch.
It is, really.
He's
an interstate mogul now.
Yeah,
though.
He was a guy that just a few real estate.
Real estate, yeah.
Just a few
interstate,
years
real
ago,
estate, yeah.
could threaten for wins at any given time. But there is a big difference. Speed is speed, but it takes a lot of heart and a lot of grit to dig and dig and dig and get out there. Jared Bolton.
Talk about heart and grit. There it is.
You want to talk about a guy that's never been happier. When this checkered flag waves and the last rider's off the course, Jared Bolton's going to he's going to have a party. Because this has been a rough weekend on Ryan Eccles, and the entire crew.
No, that's when he knows that he gets to maybe plan for a party an hour or so from now, because he goes out on that final sweep lap and brings everybody in.
It'll be a party in his mind.
There you go.
It's a big sense of relief.
Yeah, that most definitely.
Randy, I do think we saw Ben Kelly right behind that lap rider when we were looking at the Monster Mile. I could be wrong. It may not have been him, but I would almost swear that was his shoulder that came blitzing by the camera. But I'm told it was not. So we will next be seeing those guys here, trying to get an update on exactly where they are at and exactly what the gaps are.
All right, so I think we're going to be seeing them on the fan cam coming up at Ironman Hill here in just a few minutes.
I'm going to close my eyes, Rodney. I'm going to save it all up. I'm going to save all my vision. You let me know when they pop on, and I'll see who we can pick out.
All right, I'll see if I can do that for you. But here we are. I want to thank our fans down there again. As Johnny pointed out, not nearly the spectator crowds at the bottom of the hill as we've seen in past, but with yesterday's closing of Ironman Hill, I'm sure there were a lot of folks that were disappointed thinking it was going to be closed today. And then Twin Hills yesterday had a host of folks down there as well.
That was a big crowd there, let me tell you.
Yeah, that looked like Ironman Hill, to be honest with you, whenever you looked at it on video. The challenges it was giving folks, and then the crowd of people that was there yesterday as well.
Yeah, it was. See that creek right there? That thing's pretty deep. The water at the bottom of the Twin Hills yesterday was deeper than that, and it wasn't supposed to be a creek. It's supposed to be dry land.
All right, continuing to watch here, seeing some guys come through kind of fast here, but I don't know. Was that? No, that's
now,
not.
The line that the top riders were taking is to the, as we're looking right now, would be behind the person with the camera.
Yeah, it would be the right side of the hill, left of the TV screen.
Correct. They were coming up on that bank there on the right. This may be one of the top riders right here. This looks possibly like, that is Ben Kelly. There is your leader, the 530 FMF KTM, still leading the way. On his way on the ride that dreams are made of, to steal a Rodney Tomlin phrase. He is looking to notch his second overall win in only his third start in the XC1 class.
This is a deja vu dreams that are made. That the dreams are made of.
This is a ride the dreams are made of, resurrecting a nightmare from a year ago.
Will the Will have a phantom problem once again? I doubt it. The confidence, the everything that he needs is there. There's no doubt. Looking back on all that, we've had a lot of fun with that. And, again, he's the only one that really, really knows, I think, deep down inside. And I think you even said that he wasn't sure whether or not it was a problem.
in that, to be fair, though, in that moment, in that high-pressure situation, a championship on the line, and I believe all he had to do was finish 8th if Josh Toth won or something to that effect. There was quite a points gap coming into the race. He didn't have to beat Josh Toth. He just had to have a good, consistent day. And you know, to go out there and is that Bollinger? That may have been Bollinger, because I think he went up that hill last lap, and we kind of lost him thinking it wasn't him.
I think that would have been him then. Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
That's about right time-wise. If you're able to rewind it, we can get another look at it. We're going to take a look here and see, as this is what it would look like if we were coming down Ironman Hill at a high rate of speed. That is Bollinger there. So Bollinger is up and to the top of Ironman Hill, and now we're back to live. So we'll wait. The next rider we should see will be Jordan Ashburn, or will it be Josh Toth, or who else could it be? What about Stu?
Or Stu. Yeah, there's a good point there as well. Stu was only 5 seconds behind Grant, and they were basically shadowing each other up to that point. And we know that Stu could definitely push the envelope, like you said, on these last laps, these later laps. He is the true Ironman on a last lap of racing.
Yeah, you don't want to go get these podium positions just yet, but it's starting to look like Ben Kelly has a pretty firm grasp on this one, barring any mistakes, barring any missteps. He should be able to put the wraps on this one. Trevor Bollinger looking really strong for that second place position, but we are waiting and watching for the next riders through. This is Twin Hills now, but I don't know if we're going to get to see those riders come through in the battle there on our fan cam from the Ironman Hill, but if we do, we are waiting and watching for Jordan Ashburn. We are waiting and watching for Josh Toth. We're waiting and watching for both Grant and Stu Baylor. That would be our 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place positions, all potentially, maybe, battling over 3rd when we see him next.
Wow. Looks like the race starting to take its toll on some of these riders out there as the word this weekend, brutal. The race course certainly giving you your physical workout. Not a place probably to rest on this racetrack. I know not yesterday, and definitely I'm sure not today either, Johnny, because wow, this track has got lines everywhere that you can think that there would be a line, and then some places you wouldn't expect. So waiting here at the Twin Hills again, waiting on Ben Kelly, waiting on Trevor Bollinger and Jordan Ashburn, and we want to see what's going on there. Of course, Kelly and Bollinger still about 45 seconds separated.
Rodney, as we look at our top 10 overall with 4 laps complete there, noticeably missing from that lineup is Jonathan Johnson. He is no longer in the top 10 overall, and he is no longer in the top 2, at least, in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
He is 12th place overall. And 4th, let's see, let me double check this, but I think he's either 3rd or 4th in that XC2 class now. One more class down. He's still 3rd, or at least he was 3rd when they came through the finish line, with Evan Smith a minute and 46 seconds back. So for him to lose the 3rd place position, Johnny, he's would have had to have, I think, something pretty monumental to happen. So not real sure that he's dropped back any position. So I think he would still be in that 3rd place spot. But we'll wait and see. It's a wait and see process.
Well, remember when we last saw him, he was leading. He was ahead of both DeLong and Draper.
True. And then he wasn't.
Yeah,
so
so maybe when we see him again, he will be.
Yeah, he might be one of those great surprises like the Baylor boys. You know, the late race guy that's crafty, got that racecraft and able to just make things really happen toward the end of the race when everyone else is zapped and things are going away. It's just starting to turn on for them. So 2 hours 35, working on 2 hours 34 minutes. We're about 7.5 minutes out from expecting to see our leader Ben Kelly through the checker flag at the finish line for his 2nd win overall. Of course, he had a lot more wins this season in XC2, but as far as the overall is concerned, and again, making history, only a race ago being the only rider to ever, in his debut season, with his debut races, to be able to pull off a win like that. So pretty impressive stuff, and I think that we've only seen just the beginning of what the Ben Kelly era may hold for us coming up in the future. And yes, I did say the Ben Kelly era.
It's very possible. A
Yeah.
lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball or anything, but if I was a guessing man, a betting man, or fortune teller, I'd weigh on the side of that right now. I mean, by all indications right now, I mean, this kid is healthy. You've rarely seen any injuries from him whatsoever. I mean, so consistent, so strong, and very clear-minded and very focused. So, I mean, there's no reason to think that that couldn't be what's on the horizon. Did you say the battle for third again? What was we missed it, Johnny, coming through there. The battle for third. We may have seen Toth, Kesching, Ashburn, and Baylor lassoing him in as well. Again, remember, 31:16 for Grant Baylor last time around, 1 minute and 4 seconds faster than Josh Toth the previous lap. So, in essence and in theory, he should have already caught him and passed him. But like you say, when they get under the pressure and under the competition like that, they know it's time to go. And we know Josh Toth is more than capable of finding that speed. We saw he and Ben Kelly go head-to-head so many times in that XC2 Pro class.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and to have both of those guys battling for an overall podium. And this guy right here on screen, is that Ben Kelly? It looks to be.
I think so. The way the shirt's flapping there and that towel, I think, off the side, that kind of looks like what we were looking at a little while ago.
It is. That is Ben Kelly, the 530 KTM. He has nothing but the VP Fuels Pro Row and a couple miles of easy trail in front of him. And waiting for him at the finish line, a checkered flag waving and career overall win number 2 waiting for this man. And here is another member of that ISDE Junior Trophy team that swept the podium at 2 weeks ago's GNCC last race of Ben Kelly with the win. It was Grant Baylor in second and Josh Toth in third. So these guys are looking pretty strong as they head to Portugal in just about a week's time for that 2019 ISDE International 6 Days Enduro.
That ought to be very interesting to see how America does. We've only been able to win that one time in the 90-some year history. Hopefully we'll be able to bring that back again to the U.S. For 2020. I guess it would be the 2019 running, but I mean, get the trophy over here for the year of 2020 leading, and then maybe 2021, 2022.
There you go. Just keep it, make it a nice little permanent home.
There you go. We'll build it a house here in the U.S. We just got to get the teams to go over there and win it year after year.
And so Ben Kelly is through. He is into VP Fuels Pro Row. And we're waiting and we're watching. The next rider we should see will be Trevor Bollinger on that 739 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. And this will be a welcome return to the podium for Trevor Bollinger. Had some issues at mid-season, some health issues, had to fight through those, came back, and he's been slowly building his fitness, slowly building his health, and this could be a big day and a big return to the podium for him. Ben Kelly through VP Fuels Pro Row, back out into the big old bean field, and he has really nothing now standing between him and the win here today.
Nothing but a little bit of time and maybe a couple of lapped riders, but folks, that's all going to go by the wayside pretty quickly the way Ben has got things dialed in here today. Bike, there's been no issues, haven't seen any steam coming off the bike, haven't had to worry about or wonder about bikes overheating, you know, and that's one thing, Johnny, I kind of expected with the mud tacking up the way it was. I kind of thought it would start packing up some of those radiators and so forth, and maybe start to give us some overheating problems, but I haven't witnessed any of that today.
Yeah, we saw a lot of it in this morning's 10 a.m. race. There was a lot of overheating and clutch issues and like you said, steam pouring off bikes. Not so much this afternoon. It's been pretty subdued, honestly. It's been, haven't seen a whole lot of carnage. It's just been a straight-up race, and the fastest man for the day out front has been the 530 of Ben Kelly most of the way.
Rolling, rolling, rolling. We are now about 2 minutes out. 2 minutes, 22 seconds from estimated.
There is the battle right there.
Yeah.
That is, there was, so now Baylor has gotten around Toth, and there is Stu Baylor. Look at that, all four of them, Rodney.
Just as expected, yes.
This is going to be a barn burner, folks. Oh, boy, somebody better call a fire truck because this place is about to burn down.
And those boys right there will be the ones to put on a hot flame too, my friends. It's going to be like magnesium burning out there. It's going to be such a hot battle.
We're going to see them pop out here, Rodney. They're going to come out. They got to do this little chicane. They're going to come out of VP Fuels Pro Row. and there is going to be a 4 ride. Oh, sorry, this is actually coming into the mulch pile. So hopefully we can get that camera shot of these guys as they come out into the field. And
there they go.
There they go.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
there
that's
is.
him.
So there's Baylor. Was Ashburn in front of him?
Yep, Ashburn right ahead.
And Baylor, wheel to wheel. Josh Toth about 3 seconds back, and about a half a second back is Stu Baylor.
Wow.
Folks, you can throw a blanket over the 4 of them. This one's coming down to the wire.
It most certainly is. Ben Kelly on his way to the wire. But behind him is where the real battle is going on. And hats off to Grant Baylor as he has taken over that third place position, getting around both Josh Toth and Jordan Ashburn, as we calculated that that was going to be what happened. And look, Johnny, right here at the finish line, they're coming nose to tail as Ben Kelly is set to make history once again, looking over his shoulder into the final chicanes as he takes the win here at the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. It's win number 2 in his young career as an XC1 pro. And what a big and huge and monumental way to cap off the 2019 season, man. I tell you, last year he came here nearly winning the overall from back there on row number 2. Like we said, the phantom wheel problem that kept him, what we think kept him from actually being in the center of the box. But this year, so many times, so close, leading the overall at times, in the overall top 3 so many times, even finishing on the podium in second place a couple times this year. I mean, wow. From 1 year ago today to this day, what a year for Ben Kelly, man, and the amazing accomplishments that he's been able to achieve and taking the win here today at Ironman GNCC. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, Rodney, interesting stat. Ben Kelly has now won 66.6% of the XC1 overall victories in races he has entered in the XC1 class. How many people have ever had a stat like that? Granted, it's only 3 races.
U-Haul?
Oh, that might be possible. U-Haul or David Knight might be the only ones that could potentially reach that kind of a statistic. Now,
sorry.
when you throw, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's why I asked the question. When you throw Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall back in the mix, does Ben Kelly keep winning? We don't know. This guy right here, great ride today. Trevor Bollinger, the 739 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. Welcome back to the podium, Trevor Bollinger.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, and welcome back to the place in life where you want to be, man, and that's toward the front of the pack and on top.
Rub those palms together, Rodney. Rub them together.
Here we come.
Here we come, folks. Trevor Bollinger is enjoying the spoils of his second-place finish, but you can see all eyes right now are turned to the finish line because we got 4 riders wheel to wheel.
Wheel to wheel to wheel.
And that is our best Beer and Hammer impression. That's the best we can do it, folks. And these guys are going to be coming into this tent hot. Here it is, folks. This is them on screen. One, there is Baylor. Baylor has gotten around Ashburn. Wait. Both Baylors
Both Baylors around Ashburn. Ashburn, is that him back in the number 3?
No, that is Toth. Or is that Baylor still, or is that Ashburn still up front?
I don't think that.
I think that was one of the Baylors, or is that Ashburn in front of them?
All right, we'll know right here when they come around these turns right here.
Stu Baylor.
Stu Baylor. Wow. Mercy, and he was running back in that 6th place position at one point. Here's the way they finish. It will be Stu Baylor taking 3rd. 4th place will be Grant Baylor, 2.3 seconds behind him. And Jordan Ashburn will then, actually Josh Toth will take 5th. Jordan Ashburn will finish up, I think, in that number 6 spot. Ashburn, according to, this checked in 6th place, 11 seconds behind Josh Toth. Man, those guys must have really gotten into a knockdown, drag out coming through those final few hundred yards to this these final few turns, man. I tell you what, Stu Baylor coming from that 6th place position, heading into the final lap, they were 1 minute and 7 seconds behind, Johnny. 1 minute and 7 seconds behind the 4th place guy. They were another 15 seconds behind the 3rd place guy. What a day. Congratulations, Stu Baylor. It wasn't a win, but by golly, it looked like a win. It feels like a win. We're going to be back with podium presentations and wrap up this 2019 season right after this.
When my son started traveling out on the racing circuit, we couldn't afford to be unprepared. His first crash sent him to the hospital a long way from home. He was alone and hurting. I couldn't miss work, and his mother needed to be with his younger brother.
Fortunately, our Fly You Home membership meant that once his condition was stable, he could be flown home to a local hospital to finish his recovery. The Fly You Home team took care of everything, and we never saw a bill.
Consistent clutch fuel is vital to effective starts or to confidently maneuver around obstacles on the trail. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil was subjected to an extreme simulated start test. After 32 simulated race starts, AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil continued to deliver consistent clutch feel, and the clutch plates remained clean with no visible wear. The competitor's oil, however, allowed discoloration and significant wear after just 16 starts. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Give your bike the protection it needs.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Welcome back to GNCC Live from Crawfordsville, Indiana, as we wrap it up. And folks, don't forget you can catch all the highlights on GNCC's NBC Sports. And of course, that'll be coming up November 23rd. Check your local listings. And Johnny, you all wondered what happened. How did Stu Baylor get in that number 3 spot?
This is coming out of VP Fuels Pro Row. Jordan Ashburn hanging on a third. Grant Baylor goes, Jordan Ashburn goes down, takes Grant Baylor out, and that is what allowed. There is Josh Toth going around the outside. Toth takes over third, and Stu Baylor into fourth. Jordan Ashburn, though, is the next one up. He was still in fifth at that point. So Grant Baylor, man, what a shake-up. So Jordan went down in those ruts, took Grant Baylor down with him. Toth and Stu Baylor both snuck around.
Wow, and then, of course,
Craig DeLong. That may be your winner in that XC2 class. We'll have to check in and see.
Yeah, we'll head on down there to that. Craig DeLong taking the win. And looking for Liam Draper and Jonathan Johnson in the second and third place positions, with Evan Smith in fourth and Austin Lee to round out the top 5. But wow,
that was exciting.
That was exciting, and to be down there would be certainly exciting. And let's head on down to Ben Kelly with Mikey Waynes.
Thanks, Rodney. Well, down here, Ben Kelly, 13 races, 12 wins, 2 of which out of the XC1, man.
Yeah, it's wild. I had a really awesome year in XC2, able to get the championship, and decided to move up. And yeah, the last race, and I was excited because I really had a really good race here last year, and conditions are really similar. So yeah, I just was looking forward to it, and felt really comfortable out there in the deep ruts and stuff. And yeah, this one was crazy because I got into the lead there maybe third lap or so and had to manage it. So that was a first for me, but I was able to handle it and come away with another win. So it's crazy. I'm stoked.
You should be, man. So process that in your head. I think Johnny Gallagher actually, with simple math, I think it's a 66.7% win streak or winning percentage in just 3 races, 2 out of 3. I mean, did you expect that out of yourself?
No, I definitely didn't. Unfortunately, 2 of the heavy hitters, Caleb and Thad are out, so it's going to be a totally different story next year, but I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, moving up, I definitely wouldn't have been happy if I wasn't on the podium, because I've done it from XC2, and I feel like the bigger bike and starting on the front row is a big advantage. And but yeah, to get 2 wins is wild. I definitely didn't expect that, and yeah, I still really can't believe that I did it.
There you go, my friends. Ben Kelly taking a win here, your Ironman GNCC champ.
You have a lot of eyes on you, and you know the beauty of it is he doesn't feel it. Doesn't feel the pressure. He's just out riding his bike, and you can see that and hear that. You can hear it in his voice. You can see it in his eyes and his body language. It's just an amazing fit and just a wonderful time for Ben Kelly in his life and his racing career. Again, we saw that second place position checking in there just a few moments ago was Trevor Bollinger, a minute and 25 seconds behind him. But the big news back there at third place was that four-way shootout in that final lap for the third and final podium position that Stu Baylor comes away with. He was a minute and 8 seconds behind Trevor Bollinger when he came across the checker flag there. What's up, guys? And of course, wow, that seeing that last pass that coming out of the FMF Pro pits, Ashburn going down, taking out Grant Baylor. They were riding that close together, and then that allowed both Josh Toth and Stu Baylor to get around somewhere, somehow in that last mile or so. Stu then was able to get around Josh Toth. It'd be interesting to hear the story on the podium and also from down in the specialized winner's circle whenever we talk with our second place finisher with Mikey Waynes coming up here in just a few moments. Or excuse me, third place finisher. Working on second place too, Trevor Bollinger, who got second. Again, Stu Baylor got third. All right, so we do have our third place interview ready, and he's standing down with Mikey Waynes. What happened with Stu Baylor, Mikey?
That's exactly what we're all wondering. Rodney just said, all right, down there with Stu Baylor, what happened? Dude, what happened? You were off the map, off the radar almost all race long, and then you turned on the Baylor boys both. Turned it on there at the end, and you come away capping off the season with the third place.
Well, you know, I've talked about it before a few times, you know, the race lines that form out there. And, you know, this track, it was just so gnarly. A whole different race course was out there, and I was riding the wrong track. I was riding the aero track, and, you know, it's one of those things, like, it's nobody's fault but mine. Like, I didn't see the lines that I should have been on, and, you know, we were giving up a lot of time, and, you know, the rule is in a bottleneck situation, and Rodney can touch on the exact rule, but bottleneck situation, well, this whole track was a bottleneck situation. I mean, you know, there were spots where you knew if you were going to go in there, you're not coming out. And, you know, I had a lot of times where I should have had my eyes open, and I didn't. And then when I looked back and saw Grant on my ass, I was like, all right, it's time to get going. And he passed me like I was sitting still, and I was like, all right, you know, there's one person that, like, you know, hey, I don't care if he beats me. I mean, honestly, he should have beat me today, but obviously that last lap was chaos. But, you know, it doesn't bother me if he's leading. And, you know, I was glad he kind of revamped me and got me going. I probably would have just stayed riding like I was, and, you know, we were able to pull off the podium, so it was solid. But, yeah, dude, that last lap was fucking nuts. Like, holy shit. We had a four-way battle, balls to the walls, Ashburn, myself, Grant, and Josh Toth, and it was, you know, this track's 200, 300 feet wide, and, you know, obviously the rule's 25 feet on each side, so you don't know what line's fast. We're just, it was a shit shoot, like who can pin it and hold it the longest and get the sketchiest, and, I mean, it was intense, and, you know, I'd like to look at those last lap times, which Grant obviously should have beat me, but in the last mud hole coming out of Pro Pits, he and Ashburn smoked each other, and yeah, you know, I not happy with my result today. You know, this is a track that I should have done better on, but it was a damn good time.
A damn good time for sure. Stu Baylor, third place here today in the overall.
Stu Baylor, as he tells us how it all went down there on that line, didn't hold anything back. That's for doggone sure. And one thing you can see about Stu Baylor is he's about as real as they get, man. And like Johnny called him the everyman earlier. And we talk about that everyman, and what that is basically anyone out here, and just like it's just one of the normal GNCCers that are hungry and wants to go out and make some things happen. So great job for Stu. And now we head down to Trevor Bollinger with Mikey Waynes.
Thanks Rodney. Yeah, Trevor Bollinger, man, one heck of a way to finish off this 2019 season.
Yeah, like you said, it's a good way to finish it off, you know, especially now we got a long break going into 2020, and you're only as good as your last race. So second best, it's not really what I wanted, but all in all, it was a good day, and congrats to Ben. He was riding good.
Well, man, congratulations to you, too, as well on today's performance, obviously. Where's your mindset heading into 2020?
You know, I still feel like I can win races, and even with Thad and Caleb here, I just had a few little struggles this year, and like today, you know, I was actually leading before we pitted, and both those guys got back around me on the pit, and then I crashed twice, and got my gloves all muddy, and I couldn't really hang on, and then once I could hang on, you know, Ben already had like a minute on me, so there wasn't much I could do there. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm happy with second, and we'll go into the off season and put our heads down and try to come back in 2020 swinging.
There you go. Comeback 2020 swinging. Nailed it right there. Trevor Bollinger, second place here today at the Ironman GNCC.
Changes throughout the course of today's racing action, and made for excitement. Of course, Ben Kelly working his way into the front somewhat early. It seemed like somewhat early in the race, but not necessarily real early, but took a lap or so to get him up there. But once he got up front, man, there was no turning back for Ben Kelly. Trevor Bollinger, another solid ride for him today, and he finished second. Baylor Stu in third, Grant Baylor in fourth, Josh Toth in fifth, Jordan Ashburn in sixth. Josh Strang will come away with the seventh place position. Andrew DeLong on the Honda will take eighth in the XC1 Pro class. Ricky Russell and Lane Michael will round out the top 10. Let's go take a look at the overall now to see how that's all going to pan out. Still no changes in that top 7 riders, actually. Josh Strang in 7th place overall, but then with 5 laps complete and winning the XC2 250 Pro class, Craig DeLong taking 8th place overall, and he's standing by with Mikey Waynes right now.
DeLong, man, finishing off this 2019 season with a win and a top 10 finish. Matter of fact, 8th on the day.
Yeah, it was a good day. I mean, first lap was tricky. We were all kind of together, and it was kind of like who wanted the lead and who didn't want to lead. So I guess I was the one that got picked to lead. So I was checking out all the mud holes for everybody, and it wasn't too bad. Hang on as best I could, and yeah, it was fun.
Well, man, big congratulations. Doing some great things here toward the end of the season, man. What's the expectations for yourself moving into 2020?
Try to keep the ball rolling. You know, riding this year with Ben was a lot of fun, and I think definitely elevated my game. And just trying to, you know, raise a little bit more for next year, so you know, I can stay ahead of these guys and have a little more fun.
There you go. Have fun, my friend. Craig DeLong taking the win here today in the XC2.
Yes, most definitely a good fun season for I think Craig DeLong. Obviously, everybody wants to win the championship, and when you got the competition like Ben Kelly out there and the pitfalls that happen along the way, sometimes it don't put you where you want to be. But the great thing about it is it looks like Craig has certainly got his mindset in the right direction, and is looking forward to making some big things happen in the future here in GNCC Racing. And I know that XC2 class is going to be another stacked class coming up for 2020. And when you got riders like Craig DeLong in there and going to be back, Liam Draper, you know, will be back for that one as well. So pretty exciting stuff, to say the least, as we look up high above the Ironman facility. A far cry different than what we were looking at 24 hours ago when this place was full for about as far as the eye can see on this Yamaha live drone, all the way out to the other county road in that other cornfield out there. So lots of folks coming in again this year. Had a great time. Davidson Brothers on Friday night. Had Trick or Treat last night. And Craig Morgan last night. We had just basically a festival off-road motorsports all weekend here at the Ironman GNCC. If you've never been to an Ironman, or it's been a while since you've been here, make plans to be back here again in 2020 when we come back in October a year from now. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. Well, folks, that's going to wrap things up, not only for the day here at Ironman, but also for the season in GNCC. It's been a great and awesome opportunity to be here with you on RacerTV.com and through GNCC. I want to thank everybody that I work with. Again, inside the trailer, behind the scenes, you guys do a great job. Also, thanks to Mikey Waynes for another stellar job this season. Landon Wolf, who's helped us out a lot here on RacerTV, and, of course, Johnny Gallagher. On behalf of all of us here at RacerTV, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great offseason, everybody.